York Yankees, who have now won 5 in a row, and what a road team, winning 22 out of 28 on the road this year against the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers coming fresh from winning 3 out of 4 from Boston over the weekend, and now only 2 games out of second place. ABC's Monday Night Baseball is brought to you by Texaco, doing the whole job, finding and producing oil and converting it to the products you need. By Chevrolet, like baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie, Chevrolet is an American favorite. Drive a Chevy and believe. And by light beer, everything you've always wanted in a beer and less.
Everybody, and welcome to another great night of Monday Night Baseball with Warner Wolf and Bob Uecker. This is Bob Prince here in Detroit, where close to 40,000 fans are on hand right here at Tiger Stadium to see if the young and ambitious Detroit team can flag down this Yankee Express. It's been a long time since New York has charged to the front, and they broke on top April 23rd, and so far have beaten back all challengers. Tonight, Detroit, fresh from a 3 out of 4 popping of the Red Sox, as Warner told you, stand before the Yankees and say, hey, let's get on with it.
Hi, I'm Warner Wolf along with Bob Prince inside the Detroit Tiger locker room. And, man, do we have a ball game for you tonight. But before we get on with it, as Bob Prince said, let's reevaluate and perhaps sum up what has happened with Charlie Finley in the situation. As you know, he averted a strike by playing Rudy in fingers yesterday. There is still a lawsuit pending. And last week, Bob Prince, you said that perhaps Commissioner Bowie Kuhn is baiting a trap. What did you mean by that?
Well, specifically, Warner, what I meant was that I felt that he stood on very firm ground. You'll recall that he acted in what he felt was the best interest of Major League Baseball by negating that deal. Now, I don't think he was involved at all in the legal aspects of it because he felt that baseball should not see 3 premier ball players go to 1 or 2 ball clubs on the basis that if this keeps up, what's going to happen is the wealthy club will end up with all the better players. So I think he's on very firm ground, and he baited the trap in this fashion because what's going to happen, I think, legally, will be that, of course, Charlie Finley will be upheld. Then the commissioner can say, well, I did all I could do, and here you are, Mr. Marvin Miller, here you are, Mr. Baseball player. You put yourself in a position now that you can't get out of, and all the good players are going to end up with the wealthy ball clubs, and the rest of you can go back to doing whatever it is you do best, second best.
Speaking of Charlie Finley, pitching tonight for the New York Yankees, Kenny Holtzman. And, Bob, you saw Holtzman come up with the Cubs in '66, and, of course, he later pitched for the A's and Charlie Finley.
Well, you know, I don't understand one thing about Kenny Holtzman. He seems to be an unhappy young man. Why? I don't know. He's a fine pitcher. He's not a great pitcher, in my opinion. Over in the National League, he won 74, lost 69, so he was up 5. In the American League, he's up 22. He's 82 and 60. Does this mean that the National League is a tougher league? I don't know. Or does it mean
Cubs weren't a great ball club.
Well, that's right. But Walter Johnson won a lot of 20 games, and he played on one of the worst clubs you ever looked at. I think you'll find that in the long run, that Holtzman is a fine player. One of the good things about Kenny is you can give him the ball, and he's going to go out and pitch without missing a turn, so you can settle your staff around him. Number 2, he's going to keep you in the ball game pretty much to the degree that even if he is behind, Warner, you have a chance to catch up. But why he's so unhappy and doesn't want to sign a contract, I don't know. If he were a great pitcher, I could understand it. He's not really great, but then again, he isn't all that bad.
And he speaks highly of you, Bob.
Well, I have nothing against him. I was looking at the record, you know, and the record says that he owes him a few.
All right, on the other side of the fence, pitching for the Tigers, a gentleman I think we would have to refer to as a character. His name is Mark Fidrich. He's 21 years old. He's from Worcester, Massachusetts. He was not on the Tiger roster when the season began. They brought him up, and now Fidrich has a record of 7-1, has only lost 2-0 to the Red Sox. He has also completed 7 games. But the interesting part, and people are coming tonight, perhaps nearly 40,000, to see Fidrich. Why? Because he does such things as pats the mound between innings. He will talk to the ball. He will show a pass to the ball. He will congratulate his fielders on the field after a great play. So Mark Fidrich is the man people have come to see tonight, and can he beat the Yankees? And speaking of the Yankees, they have loaded a lineup with 7 or perhaps 8 left-handed hitters. And Bob Uecker right now standing in the Yankee dugout. Tiger Stadium is a hitter's ballpark.
Right you are, Warner Wolf, probably one of the better hitting ballparks in baseball. And, of course, tonight we're going to see the red-hot New York Yankees. I've just seen them in a 4-game series in New York, probably one of the hottest hitting clubs in baseball. You know, when you're talking about hitting, you're talking about one of my favorite subjects. 200 lifetime batting average, tied me with another sports great averaging 200 or better for a 10-year period. I was bowler Don Carter. But, you know, a lot of people looking in tonight, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, sure, you can talk the way you do because it was always easy for you. This is not true. I've had my problems. All incidents that happened during the ball game with me hitting. Coming up in the 9th inning of a ball game, bases loaded, 2 outs, down by a run. And to look in the visitors' dugout and see them sitting there with their street clothes on. I've had incidents happen where I'd come home maybe a 0 for June, 0 for July. And I'll never forget what my dad used to tell me. Why don't you get a job? But these are little things that never bothered me. Maybe to look down at the third base coach for a sign, have him turn his back on you. Or maybe the catcher, instead of putting a sign down, just hollering out and telling the pitcher what to throw. But I think these are the things that really drove me on. You know, I can remember ordering bats. Sometimes they'd come back with a handle at each end. These are things that never discouraged me. I've had people ask me a lot of times, Bob, how long will a dozen bats last you? I would have to say, depending on what model, what weight of bat I was using, 8 to 10 cookouts. But you know, when you're recognized as a hitting star the way I was, it gets aggravating a lot of times to maybe walk down the street. I've had it happen in New York City, walking down the street with my catcher's equipment on. And people asked me if I was a ball player, recognizing me right away. But these are things, as I said, that drove me on. A lot of awards for hitting. And I think any youngster can have these same awards if you're willing to make a few sacrifices and to pay a price. And some of the bigger awards I have cost me well over $100 each. Warner, an outstanding ball game here tonight. The Yankees against the Tigers, and now back to you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Tigers and Yankees. The Tigers take the field, and now it's estimated 50,000 fans will be here tonight to see 21-year-old Mark Fidget. Back with a Yankee lineup in just a moment.
State trooper cars put on tough mileage, but sometimes your car puts on tough mileage too, just like a trooper. That's why you should use Texaco's Haviland Super Premium Motor Oil. Recently, more than 40 trooper cars using Texaco's Haviland were driven a total of over 2 million miles. Of the engines taken apart, none showed any sign of unusual wear. With Haviland's carefully balanced formulation, you get all this protection without buying any extra motor oil additives.
Lush, tall, and strong, the trees of this great nation, oak, elm, and pine, all join in celebration.
During this bicentennial year, McDonald's is giving each of the 50 states 1,776 trees to plant. Strong young trees for whole new generations to enjoy.
Great majestic trees that raise their heads where eagles fly. Smiling, soaring, splendid, oh great giants of the sky. We do it all for you.
The starting lineup for the visiting New York Yankees, leading off and in center field, one of the hottest batters in baseball today, 27-year-old Mickey Rivers. Rivers hitting .330, is 18 for his last 36 times at bat, and is on a 20-game hitting streak. Rivers also has 24 stolen bases. Now the rest of the New York Yankees as they introduce themselves. Seen everywhere in the United States except in the Philadelphia area, which will see the Astros-Mets game. For Bob Prince and Bob Uecker, this is Warner Wolf. ABC's Monday Night Baseball has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television. Warner Wolf back with Bob Prince, and Bob Uecker still down on the field, where Mark Fidrich has beaten the New York Yankees 5-1. And Bob Uecker is down on the field, and I think he has some fan reaction to the fine performance of Mark Fidrich. Bob? This is Debbie Wykowski we're talking to right here, and tell me, what about your reactions to Mark Fidrich? Not only yourself, but all these people that stayed in the ballpark tonight.
I mean, what can you say? You love him. But what else? We love him. All right.
When did you start liking him? I mean, is this a thing that's just come on now in the last couple of weeks, or what?
Ever since I got to shake his hand, I mean, what can you say when you shake his hand and you get to meet him? You love him. He's a great pitcher. What else can you do? You love him.
You know, it looks like Mark Fidrich doesn't only have a good thing going with the young people. It's the old people alike. Every baseball fan here in Detroit.
Everybody. It's everybody, not just the young. Everybody. Everybody loves them. Everybody loves them.
When are we going to start?
All right.
All right, we're going to send it back upstairs in a couple of minutes now to Warner Wolf. And that's a Mark Fidrich fan right here. All right, thank you, Bob. Why couldn't you get an excited fan? You know, the Olympics, of course, coming up in Montreal on Saturday, July 17th, right here on ABC. And everybody, of course, waiting, anticipation. So let's take a look at it. Else? Those Olympics will kick off on Saturday, July the 17th here on ABC. Bob, let's take a look at that scoreboard again.
All right, in the American League, Kansas City, Minnesota are still tied up at 2-2. Very big game for Kansas City because they're chasing right in there with Texas. That's the American League in there. Texas and Oakland in the 8th inning scoreless, and that's a big game. No word yet whether by the Blues working. I suppose by now, of course, that Rhodey's in that lineup. And Milwaukee, Cleveland. The final, Cleveland hangs tough, and they have beaten Milwaukee 5-3, and that's a team that will be very difficult to discourage. Boston's Red Sox on top of Baltimore. That's the final by the score of 12-8.
I'll tell you what that means, Bob. The Tigers are now only a half a game behind Baltimore, and still 2 games behind Cleveland.
Right. Now, here are the Philadelphia Phillies. They've won another one. They're 6-2 over Montreal. They have the best road record going you ever looked at, 23-7, which is sensational. And we'll be back with more scores in a moment as we see here in the 6th inning, Pittsburgh beating Chicago 4-2. And now let's go down on the field and talk again with Bob Uecker.
Well, we've got another Mark Fidrich fan down here. Not only a Mark Fidrich fan, a Detroit Tiger fan. This is Dennis Adolphus, and this is Tony right here. And I'm talking with Dennis. I asked Dennis, how many games do you come? Is this the first time you've ever seen Mark Fidrich pitch?
No, this ain't my first time, man. I've been seeing every game he pitched here so far, and, man, it's been good.
How long have you been coming to Tiger games here, Dennis?
Man, ever since 1968 when the Tigers won the pennant, man. I ain't going to never forget it. You know, I thought St. Louis was going to beat them, but Tigers came on. Now I think they got another pitcher like Denny McClain, and you can see his performance tonight, man. You know, he was good.
Yeah, but this guy creates a lot more excitement than Denny McClain, doesn't he? This guy, I never saw people stay in a ballpark like they did tonight for Mark Fidrich, along with yourself.
No, man, I ain't kidding. He talked to himself on the mound. He play on the mound, man. He good, man. I don't know. You know, you can see everybody out there say he good. I know he's good, you know. That's all I can say, man. You know, he's real good.
Tony, can you talk? Do you know Mark Fidrich?
Mark Fidrich.
Yeah, he knows Mark Fidrich. Did you like the game tonight? Did you have fun out here tonight? Huh?
Yeah.
Did your dad buy you a hot dog?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back upstairs to Warner Wolf and Bob Prince.
All right, Bob, just tell that kid not to ad-lib anymore. Nice family down on the field, and I'll tell you, Bob Prince, Fidrich certainly brings out the family, and like you pointed out, old people and young people. And this guy is just great for baseball.
He certainly is. Now here's San Diego making a big run out in the West, and they're beating Cincinnati 3-0. That's the first inning score there. The big story out there, of course, is Randy Jones, and another big story, and the surprise is that Pete Bavage is going to leave that ball club and go to Toronto as a general manager when they expand. That's the National League situation there. And our last score, Houston beat San Francisco 8-2 in an afternoon ball game.
Well, you know, Mickey Rivers had his 20-game hitting streak stopped. Earlier, Ron LaFleur had hit in 30 straight games this year. Roland Office had hit in 29 straight ball games. LaFleur went 2 for 3 tonight and now has an 11-game hitting streak. But, of course, if you're going to say hitting streak, there's only one guy, and that, of course, is Joe DiMaggio. 56-game hitting streak, and most baseball people will agree if there's any one record that will never be broken, that is it. 56-game hitting streak in 1941. And also, of course, I guess when you mention DiMaggio, a lot of people think of the Al Gianfrido catch in the 47 series. And, of course, the interesting thing was this was Gianfrido's last major league ball game. Remember, he got into that ball game. And the pitcher was Joe Hatton, by the way. 1947 World Series. And one of the few times DiMaggio, there's Gianfrido's catch. DiMaggio showed displeasure. Watch, he'll kick the dirt. Normally a very poker-faced gentleman, but he actually reacted. Joe DiMaggio, 1947. Guess you saw him play a lot, huh, Bob?
Well, it would have been a home run if Gianfrido hadn't been playing him so very deep. I think Joe asked him that question. You know, incidentally, the other day at Yankee Stadium, I was with Lefty Gomez, who roomed with DiMaggio for 6 years, and he told me an amazing thing about that 56-game hitting streak. First off, Lefty Gomez presented a called the Gomez Plate. The Floyd Bannister selected this year as the outstanding collegiate baseball player, a great left-hander from Arizona State drafted by Houston. But he said, Gomez said, about the 56-game streak, one of the reasons why it may never be broken is that there were at least 5 or 6 times when DiMaggio needed a base hit going into the 9th inning, and the Yankees rallied to get as many as 4 or 5 more runners to the plate in order to give him one more shot. You have to put all those things together to allow for that 56-game streak. And then, as you'll recall, Kenny Keltner and Smith stopped him on sensational fielding plays in Cleveland, and then he went on to hit, I think, what, about 20-some-odd more.
16 straight games after they stopped him, so it was 72 out of 73 ball games.
I have to think, like you, my friend, that there's no way in the world that one will ever be broken. Now, Bob Uecker's down on the field with some more fans. Let's go down there and listen in.
Yeah, we got a couple of more guys down here that we're going to talk to tonight. This is a set of twins, Keith and Chris Howe, and I know you guys are Fidrich fans. I know that. I know you're Tiger fans, too. You know what I want to ask you? Do you guys play Little League Baseball? Do you play baseball? Would you pattern yourself after Mark Fidrich, his style?
Yeah. Really.
You mean you'd go out there and do all that dirt kicking and patting the mound and talking to the baseball?
Sure.
How about you?
As long as it works.
I think Mark Fidrich says the same thing, too. As long as it works, he's going to keep doing it. What do you like about Mark Fidrich? You first.
Well, I like his style, and I just like the way he pitches.
He doesn't keep you out here at the ballpark too long, does he? He wants to get it over and get back in the clubhouse.
Yeah. He's real nervous.
Are you nervous, too?
A little.
What about you? What do you like about Mark Fidrich?
I like when he gets on the mound, he don't take no time. He just rushes right into the pitch and gets him out right away. That's what I like about him.
Okay, you guys, thanks for stopping by. And now let's go back upstairs to Warner and Bob Prince.
All right, Robert, don't forget next week in Philadelphia, the Phillies and the Dodgers, which will be seen everywhere except in Philadelphia, which will see the Astros-Mets game. Once again, the Tigers beat the Yankees 5-1 tonight here at 50,000 almost in Tiger Stadium. For Bob Prince and Bob Uecker, this is Warner Wolf, and have a good night.
This is ABC.
The starting lineup for the visiting New York Yankees, leading off and in center field, one of the hottest batters in baseball today, 27-year-old Mickey Rivers. Rivers hitting .330, is 18 for his last 36 times at bat, and is on a 20-game hitting streak. Rivers also has 24 stolen bases. Now the rest of the New York Yankees as they introduce themselves.
Roy White, left field, Wayne, New Jersey. My name is Carlos Smith. I'm designated hitter for Birmingham, Alabama.
Chris Chambliss, first base, Oceanside, California.
Greg Nettles, third base, San Diego, California.
Oscar Gamble, right field from Montgomery, Alabama. Elrod Hendricks, catcher, St. Thomas Virgin Islands.
Willie Randolph, second baseman, Brooklyn, New York.
Jim Mason, shortstop from Mobile, Alabama.
Ken Holtzman, pitcher, Lincolnshire, Illinois.
Billy Martin, manager, born Berkeley, California, died New York.
All right, Bob Prince, what about these Tigers on defense tonight?
Well, if I can get over that laugh, I'll tell you, they're a pretty tough ball club. They're young and they're rambunctious. We got Mickey Stanley out there playing the left field, and he can move all over the spot, this young man. Ron LaFleur, who, of course, is well known for having beaten a rap in prison and come out to play great baseball. Rusty Staub, who is a star with the Mets and quite a raconteur of cooking, is the right fielder. Then on top of that, we have Aurelio Rodriguez playing at third. He's a young guy, likes to charge the ball. He'll play up tight. Tom Brazire, the shortstop, can range well to his left and to his right. Pedro Garcia also has good movement to his right and his left, especially going back on short pops. Jason Thompson, another young man, a good left-hand thrower, as you can see, will be playing at first base for the Tigers tonight. And behind the plate is Bruce Kim. And Bruce is out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and just came up from Evansville in Tucson last year. And on the mound is this young man by the name of Mark Fidrich, and I guess the pictures can tell most everything, Bob Uecker, but there's a lot about him that we maybe don't understand.
I'll tell you, this is one of the funniest guys probably that I've seen come along in baseball in a long time. He's got outstanding stuff, though, Bob. He's won 7, lost 1. I haven't seen a pitcher as young as Mark Fidrich be able to keep the ball down. He throws a sinking fastball, slider, not that good a curveball, but he's an outstanding guy at hitting spots. And every once in a while, if he wants to come upstairs, pitch you tight, he can do it. And you're going to see a lot of antics from this young right-hander tonight.
All right, Mickey Rivers standing in, batting at .330, 4 homers, 34 runs batted in. Ball one. Rivers had a 20-game batting streak, 36 for 88, batting at .409 in that streak. Bounced to first baseman. Thompson, 1 out.
Fidrich, known as a character, they call him the Big Bird because they think he resembles the fellow on Sesame Street. And this is in honor of Big Bird Fidrich.
This is Roy White, born in Los Angeles, batting at .287, the left fielder. 5 homers, 31 runs batted in. Popped it straight up the shaft. It may be up in the seats. We'll have to wait and see how she's going to spin down. Whoa, they battled for it.
I'll tell you something. Kim had it in his glove, and Rodriguez knocked it out of his glove. Accidentally, of course. That is what happened. Kim had it.
One thing about a ball in the seats, it belongs to the fan. Anything out over the railing belongs to the ball player, and the umpire could call interference. But in the stands, it's anybody's baseball. Ball. Roy now lives in Wayne, New Jersey, although he was born in Los Angeles. Foul. That hurt a puppy.
Get a look at Mark Fidrich now. Each time he gets the ball back, when he gets set to bring it on, when he gets set to go to his delivery, you'll see him mumble a couple of words to the ball. And what he is doing, he's telling the ball where he wants it to go. If he throws a slider, fastball, that sinking fastball. If he's trying to hit the outside, that's what he get a good shot of him right there talking. And it's disturbing to the hitter because you can hear him too.
Did he ever cross up his catcher verbally?
I don't think so. I'll tell you that. This guy get a good shot of his. This can be a sinking fastball right here. And he just missed inside with it.
How did you know that was going to be a sinking?
Well, I'm looking in on Bruce Kim. Now I'm looking at Billy Martin.
Well, what did you see Bruce Kim do?
Well, I'm looking at Bruce Kim now with nobody on second base. He's just using one set of signs. Let's see what he's going to do here. He's got to stay with his fastball. He's got that good sinking fastball.
Up towards second baseman Garcia. And on to Thompson, 2 away. There's no score. You know, one thing about Pedro Garcia, he will come on very quickly after a ball. He'll not let it eat him up. And as you look here at Fidrich, he'll move, this fella. He has great reaction on any kind of a ball, and here he reacts very quickly on this little bit of a top shot. And he came on before he could get caught in between hop there. Here's Carlos May, the designated batter. Mr. Houck had some problems that way yesterday, I guess, Bob Uecker.
Yeah, he had 2 of them in the lineup, 2 designated hitters.
And no right fielder.
Yet, no right fielder, but yet came on to win the ball game. And by that, we don't mean there was not a right fielder playing during the ball game, but he had the pitcher had to hit through 9 innings, or 11.
One of the things about Fidrich is kind of unusual. In his last 6 starts, Detroit has won 4 games for him in their very last at bat.
Kim, by the way, the catcher, has caught all of Fidrich's starts in the major leagues. They played together at Evansville last year.
The thing I like about Mark Fidrich against this left-handed batting Yankee lineup is not afraid to come inside to the left-handers as he did right there. You're going to see this guy do that all night long. The right-handed batters, as I said, he's got that good sinking fastball. He'll pitch you tight. He's got good stuff.
That's a base hit to left field off the end of the bat. Now, to show you about his velocity, the pitch before that, he fired the ball at 93 miles an hour on our Jugs velocity machine, Fidrich, and he just overpowered Carlos May at that time, and he hit it weakly off the left side for the base hit. Now, here's Chris Chambliss. One thing that manager Billy Martin wants to point out is that his ball club is a team of, really a team of effort, because not one man can you say this one man has done it. He said Chambliss has come up when he's had to. May, White, Rivers, Gamble, Hendricks, Munson, Mason, everybody. They've all had a hand in it.
Munson not playing tonight. He has a bad knee. Charlie Spikes ran into him in New York. And Willie Horton has a bad heel. He's not playing. In fact, he's on the inactive list.
Foul on a check back. This is rather an easy ballpark, really, to hit him in. When we get a chance, we'll show you. I shudder to think of what Ted Williams would have done if he'd have played 22 years here, or some other hitters I can think of. I absolutely shudder to think of the marks they'd have set. 1-1. Foul back. DiMaggio. You might never gotten him out. Joe DiMaggio.
Not only is this it's an outstanding hitting park, Bob, as you said, you would think with the center field stands, as they're filled up here tonight, upper and lower deck, you would think it would be a bad hitting background, but this is an outstanding hitting background in Tiger Stadium.
Well, it's just dark enough under the overhang out there. It's 340 down the left line, 325 to right, then fades out. And Fidrich just threw it right by as he turned off the lights on Mr. Chambliss. So they strand a runner, and we go now to the Detroit first inning, and there is no score.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
Well, I think the Firestone radio tires are the best tires ever made.
A friend might not know that Firestone's long-mileage steel-belted Radio 500 is built by craftsmen, piece by piece, one at a time. But when it comes to how Firestone tires work, just ask a friend.
If I can't get a Firestone, I'll park it.
Firestone.
Here now are the Detroit Tigers as they introduce themselves for tonight's game.
Ron LaFleur, outfield, Detroit, Michigan.
Tom Verizon, shortstop, Iceland, New York.
I'm Rusty Staub. I play right field, and I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Alex Johnson, designated hitter.
I'm Jason Thompson, a first baseman from Apple Valley, California.
I'm Aurelio Rodriguez, for the Detroit Tigers, third base, and I'm from Cananea, Sonora, Mexico.
Mickey Stanley, left field, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
My name is Pedro Garcia. I play second base for Detroit Tigers, and I'm from Guayana, Puerto Rico.
Bruce Kim, catcher, Norway, Iowa.
Good evening. I'm Mark Fridge from Northborough, Massachusetts, and a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
I'm Ralph Houck, manager of the Detroit Tigers. I come from Lawrence, Kansas. Right now I live in Pompano Beach, Florida.
Okay, we're set to go into the baseball here. We welcome the fans now that have joined us. There's a rain delay in the Chicago Cub-Pittsburgh Pirate ball game. So we welcome all of you joining us as there is no score here. And Kenny Holtzman sends it on to Ron LaFleur. LaFleur at 349, 2 homers, 24 runs batted in. Holtzman 5-5 on the year, 8-5 lifetime against the Tigers. We have a 1-ball, 1-strike count, no score. Nettles, Mason, Randolph, Chambliss, the infield. White, Rivers, Gamble, left, center, right for the Tigers. They're playing a very shallow right center field on LaFleur. Rivers can almost come in and shake hands with his second baseman. 3-1.
You're looking, Bob, at probably one of the faster workers in the American League, talking about left-hander Kenny Holtzman, and he basically tries to work every right-handed batter away. Doesn't have that real good fastball anymore, but the one thing I think that aggravates Yankee catchers about Ken Holtzman is the fact that he changes speed so many times, throws so many changeups off, on his own.
And they'd like to know what it is. Ron LaFleur has drawn a walk. Now, LaFleur, by the way, has had base hits in 54 of the 61 games that he's played. He's second in the American League in batting, so he's at first on a walk. And he has pretty good speed. Here comes now Tom Verizon, the shortstop at 239, 1 homer and 18 runs batted in. You heard them all set themselves as where they were from and all, so we'll just stick with the ball game there. And the outfield will play him around to right. So Tom Verizon, standing in, 23 years of age, born in Port Jefferson, New York. All right, no balls and a strike.
LaFleur, always a threat to steal. He's stolen 23 out of 36 attempts this year.
Here's the bouncer, slowly bounced toward third, and they got the one play to second, not in time over at first. So Nettles went on to Willie Randolph on a 5-4 play on LaFleur. And Verizon safe at first on the force out, and the batter's going to be the great raconteur of the gourmet of cooking, Rusty Staub.
Did you notice that LaFleur broke toward first just before that pitch?
Yes, because I think a Holtzman's move made him go back, and that tied him up just enough that they were able to make it easy at second. Rusty Staub is what Mr. Rickey would refer to as the matrimonial coward, where Mr. Rickey were alive today. He's a very eligible, fine-looking bachelor. One ball and no strikes here to Rusty Staub. And 1-1 now. So all of you just joining us from the rain delay game with Pittsburgh and Chicago. Holtzman, of course, a former Cub. I don't have to tell all the fans out that way about that. And a foul off the right side. Rusty Staub uses a very short bat with a big barrel, and it's kind of an unusual bat. And he chokes up on it just a bit. He stays in there, and I'll tell you that I've never seen a left-hander ever knock him off the plate. You can't do it. See how he was going in there?
Kenny Holtzman's fastball, that was a breaking pitch, a little off-speed pitch that time to Rusty Staub. But his fastball is around 86, 87 miles an hour right now. And I would have to think that's where Holtzman would stay throughout the night.
Bouncing foul wide of first. Staub's in his first season in the American League. He spent 13 of them, of course, in the National League. In Montreal, where they're watching this game, he was known as Le Grand Orange. He was one of the real favorites up there. He has a fear of flying. He is a gourmet cook, and they're talking seriously about him putting out a cookbook out of New Orleans, Louisiana. That's hit deep to right field, going way back, and it's a home run. He hauled off and cowtailed that one, and that's what I meant about him not getting away. He does not give in to a left-hand pitcher.
He's not easy to intimidate. Big two-run blast by Rusty Staub here in the Tiger first inning. Gives the young Mark Fidrich a 2-0 lead.
All right, and Alex Johnson, the designated batter. And a strike to him. So 2-0 now. The Tigers on Staub's 4th homer and his 41st run batted in. And this near-capacity crowd going wild. Up toward shortstop Mason. In time to Chambliss and 2 away. They say, Warner, that Fidrich really helps draw a lot of people about every time he pitches.
I don't think there's any question about it. They have averaged only 18,000. They got him nearly 50 tonight. I was just going to say Alex Johnson didn't exactly run for his life on that ground ball.
No, Alex doesn't get... I tell you, Warner, when you watch him throughout the course of the season, he doesn't really get that teed up. Any ground balls hit on the infield. Now, if he hits a ball to the outfield someplace, he'll run a little bit, but nothing bothers A.J.
All right, now this young man is Jason Thompson out of Hollywood, California. He missed almost all of the American League month of the American League season the first month. He wasn't even on the Tiger Major League roster this spring, and they called him up from Evansville, fouled away. Played only last year in the minor leagues. And signed, by the way, as the Tigers' 4th selection in the 75 draft. That's how you can get healthy in a hurry if you draft well in baseball. Holtzman trailing by 2. Outfield swung right. This ballpark, believe me, is unbelievable. We'll show you a little later on a spot where Babe Ruth is the first man to hit the ball ever over the right field roof. Ball 3, strike 1, as you see Ralph Houk. The manager, and of course, managing against his former Yankee ball club, and Billy Martin. Bounced up toward first base. Now second baseman Randolph will get it. Fires for the out to retire the side. The Tigers break on top with a booming home run off the facade of the upper deck in right field by Rusty Staub, his 4th, with a man aboard. At the end of 1, 2-0 Detroit.
Fred Wynn of the Boston Red Sox. You're looking good, Fred. You must know a lot about fashion, right?
Wrong. This is what I know. Botany 500. When I wear a Botany 500 suit, I feel great. And my wife, Katie, tells me I look good, too. So after the game, I climb into my Botany 500 and head for the country.
Because you can wear a Botany 500 anywhere.
Except on the playing field.
Botany 500. The first thing to look for in a suit.
1,000 fans here tonight at Tiger Stadium to see 21-year-old Mark Fidrich, the rookie sensation with a record of 7-1. They want to see if he can beat the Yankees. The Yankees have won 5 in a row in first place. Now, the Tigers won 3 out of 4 from Boston over the weekend. They're only 2 games out of second. But most of these people, in all fairness to the rest of the Tigers and Yankees, have come to see Mark Fidrich. He is a character. Some people refer to him as an eccentric. He will pat the mound. He'll talk to the ball. He'll congratulate his players after an excellent play. So that's the situation as we go to the second inning.
All right, one thing, too, about Fidrich, this is the first time he's pitched against the Yankees. So this is a new experience for him as well as for them. That could make it a little difficult on the Yankees, too, Bob Uecker.
Going to be interesting to see Mark Fidrich now working against Greg Nettles. Nettles had a couple of home runs in the ball game, in the second ball game yesterday in New York against Milwaukee. And he's come on the last few ball games. He was around 209 about 4 days ago. He's up to 225, so he's starting to hit the ball.
All right, we got a count now. Ball 2, no strikes. The tarpaulin is being removed in Pittsburgh at Three River Stadium, and we'll be rejoining that game shortly once it resumes. And there's a ball popped up the third base side. Rodriguez going back, fair territory. The ball's spinning in there. He grabbed it. And he had to stay right with that one. That was a tough play.
Well, I'll tell you a fast story. Rodriguez in Boston Thursday night. Fidrich pitching, 2 outs. Pop up to Rodriguez to end the game, and Rodriguez dropped the ball. And Fidrich went over and patted Rodriguez right in the middle of the game with 2 outs and said, Aurelio, it's all right. Don't worry about it. And he struck out Petrocelli to end the game.
He told Rodriguez he was going to strike out Petrocelli, and he did.
All right, Oscar Gamble stepping in. Born out in Alabama, and a strike to him. This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. All right, now Oscar Gamble fouls one off his forearm. Strike 2. Remind you again, too, you know, we've got a ball game coming up next Monday night that ought to roll them nationally. Everywhere you want to take a good look. The Philadelphia Phillies may be the best team in baseball. They'll over that way, they'll tell you they are. They're going to be playing the Dodgers. We're going to have it right here on ABC next Monday night. There's a foul tip. Not held. The Philadelphia Phillies, you know, have whacked the Cincinnati Reds 6 out of 8. They've beaten the Dodgers 5 out of 7. They're just really a pretty sound baseball club, gentlemen.
No question about it. And like you say, we'll see him on Monday night, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Dodgers.
We might as well pitch a 10 over there, huh? We also have the All-Star game coming up in the middle of July, and that'll be right here on ABC. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Aurelio Rodriguez, foul back. Mickey Stanley, Oscar Gamble. I'm looking at the I got Turner McCartan. Greg Nettles popped up to third. I wanted to check one thing on Holtzman. He's 8-5 lifetime against the Tigers, so he's not had it real easy against them. There's a ball hit high right. Looks like it's playable by Staub. It is, and a fair ball catch. So Oscar Gamble retired.
You notice Ellie Hendricks is catching for the Yankees tonight, and as we mentioned earlier, Munson was hurt. We're going to take a look at the play in which Munson was hurt. It was in Yankee Stadium. And it was a fly ball to right fielder Elliot Maddox. And Charlie Spikes, big guy, 6'2", 225, tags up from third. Maddox, beautiful throw to Munson, who puts it on him for the out. But Spikes crashed into Munson. And poor Munson is down, and he is not playing, and he hasn't played since that ball game. Courtesy of that play, by the way, from WJW Cleveland.
Batter is Elrod Hendricks. He came to the Yankees in the Holtzman era.
Well, one thing I want to point out now about Mark Fidrich, it's very important because this is a very short ballpark here in right field. Fidrich is continually pitching those left-handed batters inside. There's not much margin for error in there. You see Elrod Hendricks now really step off the plate, and Bruce Kim, the catcher, sitting way inside on Hendricks, giving a good target for Fidrich.
That's hit very deep down the right center, going back to Staub, and that baby, you can kiss it goodbye. Elrod hit number 3 out of here, and it's a 2-1 ball game. He came inside that time with not enough on it and got scoped.
That's the one thing I was just talking about. With this Yankee batting order, with the left-handed batters in there, Fidrich continually throwing inside. But if you're going to pitch in there, you can't make mistakes. And Elrod Hendricks nailed that fastball. And it's now a 2-1 ball game.
You know, speaking of Hendricks, they asked him what it felt like to come over from the Orioles to the Yankees. He said, look, man, at age 35, I'm happy to come anywhere.
That was the 18th home run on Monday Night Baseball here with ABC. 15 of it come with nobody on base. I was wondering if we're setting a record. Willie Randolph stepping in now. And what a steal he's been. All right, we are going to join the Pittsburgh Baseball Club now with Al Michaels and Norm Cash and Bob Gibson. The resumption of the ball game down in Chicago or in Pittsburgh with the Chicago Cubs. All right, high fly ball, left field, Mickey Stanley and LaFleur. LaFleur cuts in front of him, the center fielder, and makes the grab. So Elrod Hendricks hits a home run to bring the Yankees partway back at the end of 1.5. It's 2-1 Detroit.
What does it take to make a car both elegant and affordable? A car must be rich-looking to the eye, yet solid, stable, responsive. Chevrolet Concourse. Of course.
Fine touring automobiles have a sophistication, a feeling of quality the driver both expects and admires. Concourse, of course.
But a car still needs a Chevrolet price. Concourse is priced under $4,000. Concourse, of course.
Concourse, of course.
What you're about to see are the kinds of people who own America's oil companies. Over 2 million Americans invest in America's major oil companies. Over half of them women. Almost half are retired. Colleges invest and universities. Another 12 million invest through programs that invest for them, like mutual funds. Who owns America's oil companies? Over 14 million Americans who put their trust in companies like Texaco. We're working to keep that trust.
Okay, Milwaukee-Cleveland 5-5 in the fourth. Baltimore on top of Boston 5-4. That's also in the fourth inning. Philadelphia leading Montreal 2-0, and I'll tell you, Philadelphia's only lost 20 games. Cardinals and the Mets are 1-1 in the fourth. Houston beat San Francisco this afternoon in Candlestick 8-2. Oh, those are pretty much the situations of the scores. You know, there was a very historic blow struck here. We'll get a chance. We'll show you right now. Stepping in is Aurelio Rodriguez, the third baseman, batting at .263, 4 homers, 28 runs batted in. He was born in Cananea, Sonora, Mexico. Purchased by the California Angels back in '66, and then they sent him to the Senators in '70, and they moved him on to Detroit.
He was in the Denny McLean deal. We used to call him the Senor from Sonora.
He's batting .263, 4 homers, 28 runs batted in. Plays at third. That's hit right field, and Oscar Gamble has a play. Right out in that territory, an historic event took place in right field. And the first ball ever hit up over there was hit by Babe Ruth. It was number 700. He did it in July of 1934. 1 year later, he hit his last home run and the first ever struck at Forbes Field over the right field route. And he went off the field never to play or never to hit another ball. He retired 1 day later in Cincinnati as a member of the Boston Braves. That is some poke. Doc Ellis, a member of the Yankee Ball Club, as you watch Mickey Stanley stand in, the left fielder, sent a pitch in here in the All-Star game that Reggie Jackson almost dismantled that structure. He hit it a ton. It rattled around up there for an hour. 2-1 score, 1 down. And the 2 belongs to Detroit as Mickey Stanley, the left fielder, fouls back. Ball 2 and strike 1.
You know, as you watch Kenny Holtzman pitch, looking in the Yankee dugout, that's Yogi Berra, third base coach Dick Hauser. You watch Ken Holtzman pitch, you always, they talk about young pitchers always picking up that target very quickly.
Nettles from third will throw him out.
You watch Holtzman, he doesn't pick up the target until he's almost delivered the baseball. He's got his head completely turned around before he ever lets loose of the ball.
Nettles, a pretty good defensive third baseman. Perhaps doesn't get too much credit there, but he is an excellent third baseman. Speaking of Hendricks before, Munson did pinch hit on Sunday twice, singled in the first game, and then had a 2-run double in the second game.
Now, this is Pedro Garcia from Guayama, Puerto Rico. He bats at .264, 1 homer, 14 runs batted in. He's playing second base. We talked to you about how fast he can charge and move in. 1 strike. The plate umpire is George Maloney out of Miami, Florida. Jim McKeon is from Montreal, Canada, by the way. is the umpire at first base. He's the first umpire that I know of born outside the United States. He's in Canada. Then Nick Bremigan of Rochester, New York, umpires at second. And Russ Getz from Glassport, Pennsylvania, is at third. So there are your umpires. Maloney, McCann, Bremigan, and Getz. They umpire with that chest protector. They are allowed to go inside if they want. That's hit high left field and playable by Roy White, the left fielder, getting under, and the Tigers put the Yankees down in 1-2-3 fashion. And at the end of 2 innings of play, Detroit on top, 2-1.
There may be times when you feel you ought to get away, when you know you gotta get away.
Sometimes Bank AmeriCard can make all the difference.
Wide World of Sports continues its exclusive coverage of the United States Olympic trials with men's gymnastics competition as our top stars try for a place on the U.S. team next month in Montreal. All the excitement of the U.S. women's diving trials and coverage of Operation Sail as an incredible array of ships line up in preparation for their entrance into New York Harbor on the 4th of July. All next Saturday on ABC.
That is not a member of the Detroit ground crew. That's starting pitcher Mark Friedrich, who pats the mound. He manicures the mound before each inning. That's one of his idiosyncrasies. And if he continues to win, every kid in the country is going to do it. Friedrich explained why he does it before each inning.
Oh, I've always done that. That's just because I like to start and dig my own hole. Because the other person digs their own hole for their feet to go comfortable to land and all that. I want my own hole to the way I land, so I don't get into another person's rut or whatever, you know. And that way I'll, like, make shots dry because I'm trying to hit his hole. So if I make it all level, then I hit my own hole and make my own holes. And then he fills in my hole, too, if you really notice it. But he just does it with his feet or something, or he digs it out because he doesn't like it, you know, he wants it deeper or something like that. It's just the way I do it.
Well, it's been pretty good. He's 7-1.
I tell you, there's really nothing wrong with it. And as Mark Friedrich said, a lot of pitchers do it with their feet. He does it with his hand. Nothing wrong with that.
This is Jim Mason out of Mobile, Alabama. He's the shortstop.
It's a shame if his parents come to a ball game and see him doing that. Think something happened to him. He got cramps or something out there. They saw him pitch last Thursday in Boston.
Got a pretty good fastball. Judge machine is measuring it up around 90-some-odd miles an hour. And that's better than average velocity, I'll tell you that. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bounced up toward Randolph. Or rather, up toward Garcia. And he throws on to Thompson. That'll bring up Mickey Rivers now. Mickey bounced out to first base. 2-1 score. Here's the way it happened. In the first inning with Holtzman pitching, 1 down, Verizor at first base, and Rusty Staub hit his 4th home of the year, boomed it deep upper deck. Make it 2-0. But with 2 out, Elrod Hendricks hit the facade with a home run off Friedrich, and now it's a 2-1 ball game. 1 out to Mickey Rivers. We are in the 3rd.
There he is. Look at him. He's talking to it now. Friedrich's talking to that ball.
Wow. That caught a little of everybody, including the plate umpire, George Maloney, on the shin guard.
You know, the one thing I think a lot of people wonder about a youngster like Mark Friedrich, he's 7-1. He's got all the antics out the mound. Look at him right there. He's talking to him. He's talking. He's telling the ball where he wants it to go. Think that doesn't bother you as a hitter? I'm telling you, it's got to. Come on, ball, right down there.
And right down on a fine play by Jason Thompson. Well, he must be saying, I want you to move inside. I want you to slide. This time I want you to sink. And I'll tell you, and if you hear this thing, then if you don't believe him, then you're in real trouble, aren't you?
Well, he did something to Don Money, the Brewer third baseman, one day. He was standing out there and he was talking about, I got to get a little extra on this ball. I got to throw this one hard. I got to really get something on this ball. And he threw him a slider. Well, you can't believe him all the time when he's talking out there.
I was just wondering whether or not, like you could fake a guy behind the plate like Kim could set to the outside, throw him inside. He could fake him with what he's saying. Ball one here to Roy White. Bounced out to second first time up. And slams a ball a little doer down the left field line. That thing running loose out there. And Roy's got himself a two-base popper. Oh, that's what you call bat control there.
You're talking about a guy like Roy White, Bob Prince. And, when you got a young fellow like Friedrichs, we talked earlier, constantly stays downstairs. He's got that good sinking fastball that he's going to try to ride away from a left-handed batter. Roy White just went up there looking for that pitch, and he hit it down the third base side. The one thing I wanted to bring up about Friedrichs, you talk about this youngster, he's won 7, lost 1. It's happened many times before where a pitcher goes around the league the first time, and the second time around they beat his brains out. But, the more I watch this guy and the way he pitches, staying downstairs, I believe he's got it all.
Well, one thing he does have, apparently, beside the velocity, which we've already measured with the Jugs velocity machine, he has good location. And he does not walk too many batters. And let's take a look. He's got an ERA at 2.18. He's won 7, lost 1. This is his ninth start. Bounced down towards second. And they throw him out. So Friedrich strands a double by Roy White. And we go now to the bottom half of the third inning in front of jam-packed Tiger Stadium in Detroit. 2-1, the Tigers.
I'll have the honor of managing the National League team in the 1976 All-Star Game in Philadelphia on July 13th. Next to winning the World Series, there's no greater thrill than participating in an All-Star Game. You, too, can be involved by electing the starting players. All-Star ballots are free at stores featuring All-Star display and at the major and minor league ballparks. Voting ends July 4th, so be sure to vote early.
The preceding was a message on behalf of Major League Baseball. Looking at a young man now by the name of Bruce Kim, K-I-M-M. He's the catcher, batting at 246, no homers and 2 runs batted in, out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And there's that little youngster son of his, Tyson Kim. They had a family night out here tonight, and I'll tell you, they've had some fun. All the daddies came out with mom, and the youngsters dressed in their junior Tiger uniforms, and they played themselves quite a ball game.
The only game I ever used to get to start. Boy, used to aggravate me when I was kids that hit me. I'd throw that ball in there, I'd bust him inside, go ahead.
Milt May broke his ankle, and they've called Kim up to replace Milton while he's on the disabled list, and he's done quite well. He's out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
You watch Ken Holtzman. Watch when he delivers now. He's not looking at Elrod Hendricks at all.
And that ball's popped in the shallow right field, and Oscar, well, it's going to be the center fielder that's going to grab it. That's his territory, Mickey Rivers. The Yankees haven't been 9 in front since 1963. And not been 9 in front so early in the year since 1958. So they are, without a doubt, a very fine baseball club. Here's Ron LaFleur. He walked his first time up. The Tigers lead 2-1. Verizon at first when Staub hit one out to right field. And with 2 down, none on, Elrod Hendricks hit his third. And thus it's 2-1. The Tigers lead 1 out in the third.
Kenny Holtzman's fastball now around 88 miles an hour. First time we got him, he was around 87, so he's clicked it up a notch. Huh? Dave Kingman just nailed one for the Mets, number 26, in the fourth with none on to put them up in front of the Cardinals 2-1. Sky King is going crazy.
Well, listen now. He might have 30 by the All-Star break, and then you have to start thinking seriously about the 60 and the 61.
Bounce toward third. It hits the bag. It's a fair ball.
It hit the coach.
And now that keeps it in play. Joe Schultz. There would have been a very interesting situation. If it doesn't hit Schultz, it's going to go on into the dugout.
It's going to land along that tarpaulin on the third base side. You see Ron LaFleur now, a little chopper. This ball hits the edge of the bag. And as Bob Prince said, if it doesn't hit Joe Schultz, well, Joe's still as quick as he always was.
I don't want to be remembered at Jim.
I don't think I've ever seen a ricochet off a bag that way going toward the dugout.
haven't either. Now, I saw where that tarpaulin is wrapped. I saw Dick Stewart hit a home run at Wrigley Field one day that bounced over the bag and hit something and went into the tarpaulin, into the tunnel. They had no ground rule. They got an inside the park home run. You see a lot of funny things in this game.
You know, you wonder about the coaching boxes now. They've got them marked off, and the coach, they say, is supposed to stand in that coaching box. But if you get a look at Dick Trzaskowski, he's well out of it at first base, and Joe Schultz has got his prerogative. If he wants to stand on the grass, that's up to him. He just wasn't quick enough to get out of the way.
We're going, and the throw by Hendricks, high, stolen base. LaFleur has gone in there. Oh, what a jump he had on Holtzman.
Had a good jump on Kenny Holtzman, but you're going to see Elrod Hendricks now. His throw is high and not much on it. Jim Mason, the shortstop, taking the throw and sliding underneath him. Ron LaFleur, you look from another angle. He had it beat all the way. He's well behind Jim Mason when he came to the bag.
That's number 24 in the stolen base department, as Verizon just checked the plate there. A ball, 1 strike, 2 count, 2-1 Tigers, and LaFleur out at second base with 1 down. First Tigers you see in 42 years to steal 20 bases for 3 consecutive years. Oh, Holtzman pumped that up, and he thought he had strike. Talking about doing the Philadelphia game next week, well, Mr. Schmidt just nailed number 21. Now the Phillies lead Montreal 3-0 there in the 6th inning. We'll be there with ABC mics and cameras next Monday. Foul back.
That base hit by Ron LaFleur now puts his hitting streak at 11 ball games. He was a player that had the big 30-game streak earlier in the season, finally stopped. But now on an 11-game tear again. Roland Office with the Braves, that is, stopped at 29, I believe it was.
A ball 2, strike 2 count here to Verizon. That's hit high, right center field deep. Rivers and Gamble with speed, and it'll be Rivers that'll grab it, tagging LaFleur, and will come easily to third. Now LaFleur can score only naturally on the base hit or the errant play, so there is that much of an edge by going over.
I think Ron LaFleur, too, Bob Prince, with he's got the outstanding speed, as we've said, but with Mickey Rivers in center field, I don't think Mickey Rivers has really got that kind of an arm, the outstanding throwing arm, and Ron LaFleur knows that. He had the good break off second base, and he made third base no problem.
And on top of that, as we all just saw, Rivers had to go over to his left, turn, and all those things. By the way, LaFleur and Staub ranked 2 and 4 in the American League voting for the All-Star Ball Club. And ABC will be covering that for you, too. All right, now here's Le Grand Orange, as he was known, Rusty Staub. He hit the 2-run homer, his 4th of the year. Now watch him, particularly. He will not give way to left-hand pitching. This is one of the reasons why he's so tough. You cannot make him back out of there. Steps right into it, doesn't he?
I think one of the reasons, too, why Rusty Staub hits so many balls to the opposite field, Bob. He hangs in there very well. The left fielder, Roy White, is playing him well off the line in left field.
Well, he has a very classic swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Notice how short his bat is when you get a chance here. Well, they got him. He turned his lights out. So, no runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 left. At the end of 3 innings, the Tigers on top of the Yankees, 2-1.
And I get to do commercials. But when I opened my own restaurant last year, I faced the same problem as any new businessman: how to reach people. The Yellow Pages helped put my restaurant on the map, and it's still the biggest part of our advertising. If you want to go into business, the Yellow Pages can help you too, even if your name's not Johnny Bench.
Let your fingers do the walking. It's a snap. Advertise in the Yellow Pages.
All right, you see the score. The Tigers on top. 2 runs on 2 hits. The Yankees 1 on 3. Kenny Holtzman, a left-hander, 8-5 lifetime against Detroit. And going at him. Right now trails 1 run to 2 on a home run by Rusty Staub. Rusty hit it in the 1st inning with Verizon aboard. Rusty's 4th home of the year. Meanwhile, Mark Friedrich in his first time ever against the Yankees, has served up only 3 hits. One of them left the park off the bat of Elrod Hendricks, his 3rd homer of the year, back in the 2nd inning. So we're sitting on top of a whale of a ball game, Bob Uecker. It's 2-1 Detroit.
All right, Bob Prince, thank you very much. And Chris Chambliss, the Yankee first baseman, starts it off here in the top half of the 4th inning. That sign you saw a couple of moments ago for Mark Fidrich, they're all over Detroit. Maid came in my room this morning. She had one on her back, the Birdman. There's an inside fastball, 1-0. Chris Chambliss was called out on strikes his first time up. As you get a good look at Mark Fidrich. Right field, Rusty Staub, running grab, and he got it. Fine running grab by Rusty Staub in right center field. Taking an extra base hit away from Chris Chambliss.
Well, one of the things about Rusty Staub is he breaks about as quickly as anybody. The moment he heard that bat and ball sound, he just took off and went and really made it look very easy.
One down brings up the Yankee third baseman, Greg Nettles.
See how easily he's right there. He just roars back, and he had it very, very easily right in the glove.
In fact, he almost overran the ball. Nothing in 1 to Nettles. There you see his stats. 224, homered 11 times, and he's knocked in 33 runs. Talk to it, Mark. Be careful inside, too. That's what he's saying. He hung a slider, and he got away with it. 2 strikes to Nettles. There you see Mark Fidrich. That's one of the reasons they call him the Bird. Named him after the bird on Sesame Street. Tall, lean, and he's got webbed feet. No, that's not true. Inside breaking ball.
He's a right-hander.
There you see the shortstop, Tom Verizor, playing almost behind the bag at second base for Nettles. And playing quickly to pull. Right field base hit. Nettles lines a single to right field. And that for the Yankees is their 4th base hit off Mark Fidrich.
Just for the record, I'm sure the fans know, but of course when a batted ball, as in the case of accidentally hitting Joe Schultz, the same thing if a ball hit an umpire in play. They rule that the umpire, or the coach in that case, is part of the field. It's as simple as that. Of course, the coach can't pick up the ball.
I think it's a slam at a coach when you walked up to him before a ball game and say, look, you're part of the field. So. Oscar Gamble, high and outside. There you see Mark Fidrich. He's indicating where he let that ball go, and he wants to come through a little bit more with it. This young guy knows what he's doing, knows what he wants to do anyway. And he'll do it again. You saw a shot of the crowd here. Well, this place is jammed up tonight. Breaking ball is high, 3-0.
That's the first time tonight that he's gone 3-0 on a batter.
3-0 to Oscar Gamble. Tigers 2, and the Yankees 1. We're in the 4th inning. Bullseye. Good sinking fastball around the knees.
You know, Nettles is on first base has stolen more bases this year than he had in the previous 4 years combined.
And we might see him go. Oscar Gamble. Left center field chasing LaFleur. He's going to get there. He's got it. Ron LaFleur hauls down that drive off the bat of Oscar Gamble. 2 down brings up Elrod Hendrick, the catcher.
Well, now Oscar there just turns with that speed of his and goes back, has it very, very much in sight, and is really just sitting right there. You don't often see very many great catches in baseball. That's just an average catch made by a very fine major leaguer. That's why it's so average.
Here's Elrod Hendricks, the catcher. He homered his last time up, and his first time up. He looks at a curveball strike. Elrod Hendricks been splitting the New York catching duties with Fran Healy in place of Thurman Munson, who, as we told you before, was injured in a collision at home plate with Charlie Spikes. And that just missed. Ball 1, strike 1.
What would Peterich do if the batter started talking back to him? Says, that ball didn't come in there where you said it was going to come in. That would be some dialogue, wouldn't it?
Aurelio Rodriguez, you saw a shot in playing way off the bag for Hendricks. Right field up in the air. Not deep. Ron LaFleur in right center. Puts it away. Sides retired. In the Yankee fourth, no runs. One hit, no errors, one left. We go to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Tigers 2, Yankees 1.
Here's a very interesting shot, Bob Uecker, of looking right through the interstices of the screen and straight on out beside those holes in that screen. Look, I mean, that's that
what
background.
What did you say, the what?
You know, through the interstices of that screen. But, you know, that's that background you were talking about, Bob, out there in center field. Really makes it an outstanding hitter's background, doesn't it?
Well, you wouldn't think it would be that way, as we said earlier, with the crowd sitting in the upper deck, the lower deck. But there is a very dark area, as you said, Bob Prince, out there. It's a very nice hitting background here. This is a great hitting ballpark, Tiger Stadium.
You know, you wonder what designated hitters do between innings. Carlos May just warmed up Kenny Holtzman between the innings.
Baltimore and Boston, while we have a moment, are 7-7 at the end of 5. Duncan hit a homer there. Milwaukee and Cleveland. Cleveland leading your club 5-3. Your Milwaukee club's having a little trouble there, Mr. Uecker.
They've been having problems. There you see Alex Johnson and 2 members of his family. Young man. Played in the father-son game. You can tell the guy got a base hit. The little boy had a base hit. The girl 0 for 1. Foul tip by Johnson. Alexander Johnson, Jr. and his daughter, Jennifer. 1-1 to A.J. Right field. Leaping grab by Chambliss. He's got it. A fine leaping grab by the first baseman, Chris Chambliss, on that line drive headed toward right field.
You remember, Bob Uecker, the amount of criticism as we watch this replay again on the drive and the leap up by Chambliss, how much that deal for him was criticized a year or so ago and how it's paying off for the Yankees now.
Chris Chambliss, well, he's been outstanding, I'll tell you. Jason Thompson, the first baseman. 10 home runs, 33 RBIs, hitting a .238. Well, here is a guy the Tigers really like. Inside missing fastball.
What a find. He was in California State College last year. And he hit 3 home runs early in the season.
Right center field. Mickey Rivers has got this one. Puts it away, 2 down.
Hit 3 home runs early in the season in Evansville. They said, hey, let's bring this kid up here. And now, of course, he leads the Tigers in home runs with 10.
And that Philadelphia-Montreal game, where we'll be next weekend, or next Monday night, Philadelphia-Dodger game. Philadelphia leading Montreal 4-2 at the end of 6. Carlton against Rogers, and that one, Mike Schmidt, the big home run.
Slick fielding, Aurelio Rodriguez, the Tiger third baseman. Fly to right field his first time up. We're in the fourth, and the Tigers lead it 2-1. Shortstop side, Jim Mason. Chambliss has got it, sides retired. 1-2-3 inning for Detroit in the fourth. They get nothing. At the end of 4 innings, 2-1 Detroit.
First time he held me in his arms. And the best thing is, I still feel the same way today.
It shouldn't matter that you wear dentures. Not if you use new formula Polident. We've added more cleansers to Polident, more oxygen whitener, and a unique penetrating ingredient, all to make this new formula the best cleaning Polident ever. So you can stay close, as always. New formula Polident. We want you to stay close.
Well, Tiger Stadium officially holds 54,226, and I'll tell you, they've got close to it. And if I'm Mark Friedrich's agent, if he has one, I've got to ask for an attendance clause next year, because the Tigers have averaged only 18,000 this year, and here is Mark pitching, and they pulled in over 50,000. And speaking of attendance, don't forget the Olympics here on ABC coming up on July the 17th, Saturday, July 17th, the Olympics from Montreal.
Well, there'll be some huge crowds there, no doubt about that, and millions of viewers all over the world watching ABC send the Summer Olympics from beautiful city of Montreal. Now, you know, here's something. If you'd have said to this young man, Bob Uecker, Willie Randolph, in 1972, how'd you like to be playing for the Yankees? In 1972, he was playing for Bradenton, Florida. That's his first year of professional baseball.
He's done a fine job for the Yankees, I'll tell you that. Friedrich delivers. That's that sinking fastball. 1-0.
He's challenging Grich, you know, who just hit a home run to put Baltimore in front of Boston 8-7 for the starting spot in the All-Star game at second base for the American League.
Low and outside, 2-0. Mark Friedrich has only fallen behind on one batter. That was Greg Nettles. Went 3-0 before Nettles base hit him. Bullseye with a fastball. 2-1.
I think one rule of thumb always on a successful pitcher, when you compare the strikeouts to the walks.
Shortstop side, Tom Verizor. Strong throw, and he got him.
In this case, Friedrich has struck out twice as many batters as he has walked. Usually, that's a pretty safe rule of thumb.
You know, it's not hard either, Warner, when you watch a guy like Friedrich, just sitting behind him or even behind home plate. He's got to be a nice guy to catch. He's got to be easy to catch. He's around the plate all the time. He's downstairs. There you see him again, talking to the ball and indicating where he wants to throw this next pitch, or around the area where he wants to throw it. And he missed, not by much. A ball and no strikes. Jim Mason, the Yankee shortstop. Left center field, Mickey Stanley is there, called off by LaFleur, but Stanley grabs that one. I don't think Ron LaFleur has got speed. He got to Stanley in a big hurry. Stanley was playing well in the left center field for Jim Mason. As you look at Mickey Stanley, the Tiger veteran. This is his first time in left field tonight.
First game in left field, that's right.
But you know, he's played every position you can think of.
Played all over.
Well, everywhere but pitch and catch, I think. I thought he's played every other position but pitch and catch.
Mickey Rivers, the leadoff batter and the center fielder. Second base side. Pete Garcia, throw got him, sides retired. Easy inning for young Mark Friedrich. Sits the Yankees down 1-2-3. No problem for Friedrich. In the Yankee fifth, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. In the middle of inning number 5, Detroit 2, New York 1.
What you're about to see are the kinds of people who own America's oil companies. Over 2 million Americans invest in America's major oil companies. Over half of them women. Almost half are retired. Colleges invest and universities. Another 12 million invest through programs that invest for them, like mutual funds. Who owns America's oil companies? Over 14 million Americans who put their trust in companies like Texaco. We're working to keep that trust.
There may be times when you feel you ought to get away, when you know you got
sometimes Bank AmeriCard can make all the difference.
A lot of kids on hand tonight among the 50,000. And, you know, speaking of kids, Mickey Stanley came up to this club 13 years ago. He was one of the youngest among the veterans. Now it's the other way around.
Well, it's a different type of feeling, Warner. You try to set an example now. Back when I was young, I used to clown around, horse around the ball field, and make some bonehead plays during the course of a ball game. Now I have to try and set an example, do the right things fundamentally, and hope that the younger kids catch on, and maybe I can be a big asset to the ball club that way.
Remember, he played shortstop in the World Series in
Yes, sir.
1968.
I'll tell you, I've always liked this guy, Mickey Stanley. He's one of those guys, you know, now in a ball club, as you said, Warner, he's a veteran ball player, but he can play any place for you, and he's going to do a good job hitting it. .314 starting tonight's ball game. Ken Holtzman missing outside. It's a ball.
You know, he once also played 164 errorless games in the outfield, handled 500 chances.
2-0. There is Pedro Garcia, Tigers' second baseman. And the Tigers acquired from the Milwaukee Brewers for Gary Sutherland. Strike, says George Maloney, but a little delayed action on that call. Ball 2, strike 1 to Mickey Stanley, leading off the Tiger fifth inning. Swung on a bad pitch, and look out.
Here come the towels, huh? Usually they wave the towels.
Well, Mickey Stanley, a golf glove on the left hand. They don't really call them golf gloves anymore. They call them hitting gloves now. Got a little pine tar on that bat, too, but it slipped out of his hand. In the air to short left field. Roy White puts it away, one down.
You know, one thing, Bob Euchre, Kenny Holtzman trailing here by a run. He saw Staub take him downtown with a man aboard the riser. And then Hendricks got one back off Friedrich. You know, he really has played an awful lot of one-run decisions. In 1975, he lost 6 one-run decisions when he led the American League with 58 assists, and he had 18 victories. So he keeps you in that ball game like we were talking about earlier at the start of the show.
Garcia takes downside of ball.
Uke, this guy played with your ball club, the Brewers, and came over in the trade for Sutherland. He said the Brewers didn't get enough for him.
Second base side, Randolph. Nice play. Throw got him. Willie Randolph. That extra effort with speed. Boy, what an asset speed is.
That young
Pete
man,
Garcia, who can run.
Yes, he can. Now, as you watch Randolph, he can go wide left and everything you want to know about. Pittsburgh traded him along with Brett and Doc Ellis, for George Medich. That was the deal. Now, Brett, of course, has gone on to throw a one-hitter for the White Sox.
This is Bruce Kim, the catcher. You know, Warner, getting back to what you said about Pete Garcia, I think the one thing that hurt Pedro more than anything else, he had 15 home runs his first year in the big leagues. 1-1 to Bruce Kim. And he's not that kind of a hitter. He's not a power hitter. He's not the guy that's going to hit the home runs for you all year long. And the Brewers tried to get him to change, hit the ball more toward right field, and he just couldn't accept it. Willie Randolph is going to have to hurry. Throw! He's threw away into the dugout. Bruce Kim had a chance to beat that ball out. I don't know if Randolph's throw would have got him anyway. Here's Randolph. He broke the wrong way now on that ball.
Well, the reason he did is that the ball was hit in a very peculiar fashion off the end of the bat. And as he let that ball go right there, you could see he didn't have a very good grip on it. It almost picks off the umpire, practically picked off the coach, and almost nailed the youngster down on the side. So he gets up into second base, and let's see how they're going to rule. I think they ruled a base hit.
Going to be an error.
Yep.
An error on the second baseman. LaFleur missing. 1 strike to him. Tigers have a runner in scoring position. Bruce Kim at second. They lead it 2-1. We're in the 5th inning. Again, 2 strikes to LaFleur. That's the one thing about Ken Holtzman. You know, a catcher might put down a sign for a fastball or a hard slider, but Holtzman, on his own, will change speeds. He'll pull a string on you once in a while. There's that change-up curve by Kenny Holtzman. Ball 1, strike 2 to Ron LaFleur. 2 men out. And a runner on second base.
Good breaking ball by Holtzman. Strikes out Ron LaFleur to end the fifth inning. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local stations.
This is ABC.
You know, before the ball game, Steve Grilly, the right-hander for the Tigers, came up to me and actually introduced himself. He's from Brooklyn, and he said, Warner, I'd really appreciate it if you could say hello to my father, Julio Grilly, who was taken to the hospital in New York. So, Mr. Grilly, if you're watching, your son gives his regards, and we wish you everything okay.
Here's part of the huge crowd in Tiger Stadium tonight. They're up in the 50s. This place is jam-packed.
You know, this has always been a great baseball town. Detroit.
Oh, you got to like to play here. We start the Yankee sixth inning. And Roy White, the left fielder, leads it off. 288. He's homered 5 times and knocked in 31 runs. He doubled his last time up. Strike one to Roy White. His first time up, he bounced to second. In the third, he doubled down the left field line. Center field going to be an easy play for Ron LaFleur. Puts it away, one down. Oh, Mark Friedrich continues to sail along. One out in the Yankee sixth. Brings up the designated hitter, Carlos May, and there's a look at young Mark Friedrich. Doing some talking. A ball and no strikes to May. Struck out. So he had a single his first time up. Bounced to second. Count evens 1-1. That is the Yankee first baseman, Chris Chambliss. 2-1 to Carlos May. Well, look at that young guy talk to himself. I'll tell you, if that ball starts talking back, he's in trouble.
That he's in trouble, right.
Good fastball. Struck call. 2-2 to May. Boy, Rodriguez, the third baseman, is playing him a good 15 feet off the line at third. And he missed. Full house count to Carlos May. Mickey Stanley well off the line in left field for Carlos May. They play him strictly to pull. Quite a gap for him in left center field. Stays alive on a good breaking ball from Friedrich. He knows where he wants this pitch to be. Second base side, Pedro Garcia. Throw to Thompson, 2 down.
Well, Chris Chambliss coming up. You know, he almost went to Arizona State on a football scholarship. Went to UCLA and was offered a deal by the Reds, but declined.
Yes, I have. Might still be in the minor leagues with them or traded sooner. I was drafted twice by the Reds, and I didn't sign because they didn't offer enough money for me coming out of college like that. When I did have eligibility in college, and I could just go ahead and play college ball. So I decided to stay into college and try to have a better year, and maybe I could come up with a better bonus.
Hit in the air to left field. Mickey Stanley puts it away. Sides retired. Another easy inning for the young right-hander Mark Friedrich. In the middle of inning number 6, 2-1, Detroit.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
Well, I think the Firestone radio tires are the best tires ever made.
A friend might not know that Firestone's long-mileage steel-belted Radio 500 is built by craftsmen, piece by piece, one at a time.
But when it comes to how Firestone tires work, just ask a friend.
If I can't get a Firestone, I'll park it.
Firestone.
Wide World of Sports continues its exclusive coverage of the United States Olympic trials with men's gymnastics competition as our top stars try for a place on the U.S. team next month in Montreal. All the excitement of the U.S. women's diving trials and coverage of Operation Sail as an incredible array of ships line up in preparation for their entrance into New York Harbor on the 4th of July. All next Saturday on ABC.
Okay, now in the action elsewhere, let's say in the American League, Baltimore and Boston 8-7 Baltimore in the bottom half of the sixth inning with home runs by Duncan and Gritch. Flanagan and, now Palmer's out and May is pitching. Jones started and Jenkins was on. 5-3 end of 7.5 innings. Cleveland over Milwaukee. Lowenstein and Hendrick hit home runs there. Kansas City, Minnesota, 2-0 end of 2 innings in favor of Minnesota. Leonard against Singer. No score, end of 4. Oakland at Texas, Norris and Umbarger. And we'll pick up some National League scores a little later on, Bob Uecker.
Tom Verizor starts it off in the Tigers' sixth inning. A Ken Holtzman fastball. 1-0 to Tom Verizor. Headed back over the bag at second. Randolph throw, and he got him. Willie Randolph, a nice play behind the bag at second.
This young man is absolutely remarkable. The Pittsburgh Pirates traded him to get Doc Metis because they had Rennie Sennett, but he can really go. He has great lateral motion, as you'll watch here. He'll go way to the right. Now, this is a play that he learned from Bill Mazeroski right there. He sets himself, as you see, then throws. Too many young second basemen make the mistake of throwing off balance. And Mazeroski, the master, taught him how to set himself and let it go.
First base side, Chambliss. He's got the ball, and he steps on the bag, and that retires Rusty Staub. Chambliss didn't know he had that ball.
No, he was holding that ball like a scoop of vanilla ice cream on a cone.
I'm going to say that Rusty Staub put the Tigers in front 2-0 in the first inning when he hit his 4th home run of the year, a 2-run shot. The Yankees pulled to within 1 in the second when Elrod Hendricks drilled one out of here. Alex Johnson. 1 strike to him. The Tiger DH. Homered 4 times. Knocked in 29. Started tonight's ball game hitting at 280. 2 strikes to Alex Johnson. I always get a kick out of Alex if he hits a ball on the infield. He grounds out. They throw him out. When he gets back to the Tiger dugout, he never takes his helmet back, and he always whips it out someplace where the bat boy has to retrieve it. Kenny Holtzman. Ball 1, strike 2. Holtzman has only allowed 2 base hits, but he trails 2-1. The Yankees have 4 off Fidrich. Mason going to have to hurry, throw, and he got him by a step. The Yankees retire the Tigers in order in the 6th inning. They get nothing at the end of 6 full innings of play. Detroit 2, New York 1.
Practically all of the insurance needs for the family. The State Farm agent is there to service all those needs. There's no need for you to keep a directory on the wall in the kitchen about who you have various insurance policies with. You know the agent. He's up the street. He's the State Farm guy. He's the good neighbor. He's right there. If you have a problem, you call him. That's what makes our system work so well.
Mark Fidrich, young right-hander, leads the Yankees by a score of 2-1. Here you see him doing his little ground crew job. First, a little action with the feet to loosen some dirt. Then the hand action, filling in the hole around the pitching rubber area, where he said he wants to have his own hole out there where he can set his foot in there and deliver off the rubber. Nothing wrong with it. He's won 7 and lost 1. And he leads here by a score of 2-1 as we go to the top half of the 7th inning. And all set now to bring you the rest of the action. Here's Warner Wolf.
All right, thank you, Yuki. Nettles, Gamble, and Hendricks for the Yankees in the 7th inning. And here's Nettles, not having a big average year, but with 11 home runs and 33 runs batted in. a pretty good productive year as far as power goes. And I asked him about it the other day.
Well, I feel the best part of my season so far has been my defense. I played good third base, and I made some good plays for us, saved a few games, and you know, in the long run, my hitting will come around.
What are the stolen bases? You've stolen more stolen bases this year than the last 4 years.
Yeah, I think I've gotten 6 or 7 stolen bases, and it's just because Billy gives me the sign. The other guys wouldn't even give me the sign or let me run.
Third baseman Greg Nettles explaining the reason for the stolen bases. Finally, he found a manager who gave him the go sign. Top of the 7th, 2-1 Tigers. 1-1 to Greg Nettles.
A lot of managers give me the go sign, Warner.
Go where?
Go and don't come back.
There you see Fidricks psyching himself up, talking to the ball. Do your thing, ball. That'll play. I'll tell you something, if Fidricks continues this success, you're going to have an awful lot of little leaguers certainly doing the same thing. Mark Fidricks. 2-2 to Nettles.
Warner, the last time he lost, Luis Tiant of Boston beat him 2-0. He's now won 6 in a row. He's beaten Cleveland, Milwaukee, Texas, California, Kansas City, Minnesota, and Boston. He's trying to get New York in the hot.
3-2 to Nettles. Nettles popped out the second, single in the fourth. Only 2 hits for the Tigers, but one was a 2-run homer by Rusty Staub in the first inning.
You know, the one thing I wondered about Fidrich in the early part of the ball game, Warner, the fact that they've got this huge crowd in here tonight, I was wondering if it would bother him. But evidently, he said the Yankees didn't bother him, did they?
3-2 to Nettles. Fidrich can't get it. Garcia, no play. That'll be a base hit for Greg Nettles. Now watch Fidrich. If he talks to Garcia here, it says, nice try.
Well, what happens here, of course, I think Garcia's going to have a play if he isn't interfered with. Right there is the action that stopped him from making the throw on Nettles. It would have been awfully close, but fortunately there, more than anything else, is to get the bases that neither player was injured.
There you look at the second baseman, Pedro Garcia, from another angle. He almost got his head torn off by Fidrich. There's some outstanding camera work that time.
Saw it from every angle possible. This program being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds now to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Two strikes to Gamble, top of the 7th. Tigers lead at 2-1. Nettles on first, nobody out. Fidrich against Holtzman. Thompson holding Nettles. The 2-strike pitch. Easy play for LaFleur. And Nettles fakes a tag, goes a quarter of the way down and comes back. And a good throw by LaFleur, and the fans give LaFleur a hand just for the throw.
I'll give you a moment here. Philadelphia now leading Montreal 6-2 at the end of 8 innings of play. Mike Schmidt has hit a home run as you watch LaFleur here.
You're going to see the tag now by Nettles, a bluff tag. I know Greg Nettles knows a lot better to run on Ron LaFleur. He's got an outstanding throwing arm.
Swing and a miss to Hendricks, who homered in the second inning. The Yankees' only run of the ball game. Yankees have out-hit the Tigers 5-2, but trailed 2-1. Nettles with his lead off first. A 1-strike pitch to Hendricks.
Philadelphia's only lost 20 games. They're on their way to their 49th victory. This year they've beaten the Dodgers 5 out of 7. The Reds 6 out of 8. Will be there next Monday night on ABC.
2 balls and a strike to Hendricks. Elrod Jerome Hendricks from the Virgin Islands. Played most of his career with the Orioles. Mickey Stanley. 2 gone for the Yankees as Nettles returns to first. Remember, Stanley in his prime really was one of the fine center fielders in baseball. So there's 2 down. That'll bring up Randolph. Randolph 0 for 2, flied out and grounded out. And I would say, gentlemen, if the season ended today, Willie Randolph would be your Rookie of the Year.
I would have to go along with you, Warner. You know, I tell you, I saw Randolph about 3 weeks ago. He was up around 330, 340, but he has taken a dive in the last 2 weeks. You know, the one thing that I think the Yankees aren't happy about in anything with Randolph, he's committed 10 errors.
Fidrich fields his position well and throws out Randolph by 45 feet. And look at Fidrich tear off the mound, and he's the first one back in the dugout. So we go to the home 7th. The Tigers 2, the Yankees 1.
Monte Carlo by Chevrolet. Monte Carlo. It's so special, so drivable, so very personal, you'll probably want to park it yourself.
Hi, Max Mileage here, welcoming you to the Firestone Car Service Center, where you can count on us to help you get maximum mileage. We specialize in front-end alignment and precision wheel balancing. We replace worn-out shocks and overhaul drum and disc brakes and return the worn-out parts. Want to know more about Firestone's Max Mileage Car Service? Just check your local newspaper for this week's Firestone Max Mileage Car Service offer.
Playing Major League Baseball is a lot of fun, and what an opportunity. I'm Ron Fairley, and I've been fortunate to be part of this dream game since 1958. With dedication, it may be within reach of you talented young people watching this game, too. A career in baseball holds many fascinations, and this includes the opportunity to set yourself up for a very satisfying life once your playing days end. It takes perseverance and hard work, but it's well worth it for a life in baseball. Don't you agree?
Preceding message on behalf of Major League Baseball. Don't forget Wide World of Sports coming up this Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. U.S. Men's Olympic Gymnastics Trials from University Park, Pennsylvania. The U.S. Women's Olympic Diving Trials from Knoxville, and coverage of Operation Sail, all the sailing vessels coming into New York Harbor. All right, the Tiger home 7. It'll be Thompson, Rodriguez, and Stanley, and a foul by Thompson. And, man, here's a guy, certainly nobody expected Thompson to be in the major leagues and lead the Tigers in home runs as he does. 21-year-old Jason Thompson. Thompson 0 for 2 tonight, grounded out and flied out. Line drive, second one of the night, caught by Chambliss.
You were just talking about how young this young man is, that Thompson. You know, he's the same age as Willie Randolph of the Yankees. They're both 21, and they will celebrate their 22nd birthday on the same day, July 6th, a week from tomorrow.
Talking about Rookie of the Year, talking about Randolph, I would imagine if Fidrich continues, he'd have to get a vote in there. Rodriguez tonight, 0 for 2. Best year was 1970 with the Senators. There's Rodriguez's young child, Aurelio Jr. Right field, Gamble, and home run, Rodriguez. Aurelio Rodriguez. Number 5 for Aurelio, and the Tigers lead it 3-1. Now that right field fence is a 9-foot fence. It is not inconceivable that outfielders can reach up and grab it, which they have done. Now you'll see the fence. The wire fence on top of the concrete over Gamble's head. Home run Rodriguez, 3-1 Detroit.
There's another home run on ABC without a man on board.
Right you are, Bob Prince. There's Stanley. Chambliss waves Holtzman off and makes the play himself. And the fans boo.
I'll tell you about Chris Chambliss. A veteran first baseman like Chambliss. He knows the speed of Mickey Stanley. There you see him. He waves Holtzman off right away. He knows the speed of Stanley. He got him by a step. Garcia 0 for 2, flied out in the second, grounded out in the fifth. 3-1, Tigers lead it in the seventh. Mason takes his time to Chambliss, and that's it for the Tigers. A 1-run, 1 hit, the home run to right field by Rodriguez to the opposite field, and after 7 complete, Detroit 3, the Yankees 1.
The Alaskan Pipeline, one of the largest construction projects since the pyramids. And the men who are making it have to give it all they've got, or they don't make it.
Quitting time! Come on, guys, let's go!
And up here, quitting time is Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you got the time, we got the beer. Miller beer. Miller tastes too good to hurry through. When it's time to relax, one beer stands clear. Beer after beer. If you got the time, we got the beer.
Belly up, everybody!
If you got the time, we got the beer. Miller beer.
Once again, Wide World of Sports this Saturday, the U.S. Men's Olympic Gymnastics Trials. That'll be from University Park, Pennsylvania, home of Penn State. And then the U.S. Women's Olympic Diving Trials from Knoxville. And for all you sailing enthusiasts, boy, and shipping enthusiasts, what a sight this will be. Coverage of Operation Sail. This, of course, is in connection with the bicentennial. Thousands of vessels from all over the world sailing into New York Harbor. So that certainly will be a spectacle. This Saturday, over most of these ABC stations, 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 4 o'clock Central, on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Boy, and the outstanding coverage by ABC's Wide World of Sports. Hey, I might be up there for that sailing deal.
You'll be on one of those vessels.
I might be on one of the boats. They want me to go up in the crow's nest.
Yes.
Show hitting films up there.
Well, that would be very
That's going to
interesting.
be an outstanding deal, though.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I'm kind of interested in, too, while we have the opportunity. I know we're going to be doing this big all-star game and everything, but I'm kind of looking ahead a little bit. In the National League, I'm wondering if the big shootout in the championship series is going to be between Philadelphia and Cincinnati. Now, if you had to wonder in your league, the American League, Bob Uecker, which two would you guys talk about?
If you don't talk about the New York Yankees,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll tell you one thing about the Oakland A's, Kansas City Royals, the Texas Rangers, but the Oakland A's, they've got Fingers back, they've got Rudy back, they've got Vida Blue back, maybe for the rest of the season. I just got a feeling that they're going to come on a little better than they are right now, Bob. They might be around there come September.
Mason hits the first pitch. Garcia, easy play, 4-3 if you're scoring, and there's one down.
You know, Warner Wolf and Bob Uecker, I don't think we can really, and let's get this in a hurry, say that any one team is out of the National League or the American League. But we're just sort of speculating right now about certain shootouts. The big thing is we don't have to speculate. We're going to be covering it for ABC and baseball fans all over the world.
All right, Mickey Rivers 0 for 3 tonight, has a 20-game hitting streak on the line. This conceivably could be his last shot to increase it to 21. And Friedrichs doesn't fool around, right in there, talking to that ball. Man, he works fast. He's ready to go. The one-strike pitch to Rivers. Make it 2. I'll tell you, Friedrichs working like he wants to catch a train. Two-strike pitch to Rivers.
I'm going to tell you, this is one of the things I was talking about earlier. You get 2 strikes. Look at Friedrich out there. He is indicating, he was just pointing in at Rivers on the inside corner where he wanted that pitch to be. He came with 2 good sinking fastball strikes and not afraid to come inside to Rivers with that hard slider. He hit him on the fist.
2 strikes to Rivers. I'll tell you, the fans really getting a kick and reacting to Friedrichs. Over 50,000 fans here in Tiger Stadium on a Monday night. The Tigers going in only 2 games out of second. For Reiser. 2 down, 6-3 if you're scoring. And that could be the hitting streak for Mickey Rivers unless the Yankees come back and at least tie this ball game.
You know, Warner, we talked earlier about Friedrich. He was heating up around 93 miles an hour, 92 miles an hour early in the ball game. He is at 93 right now. We're in the 8th inning.
still bringing it on.
Roy White, 1 for 3, takes a ball double in the third, grounded out in the first, and flied out in the sixth.
I get a kick out of
He's
this guy.
he's probably saying, come on, move that ball, move that ball.
2 balls to Roy White.
You know, both of the big hitting streaks, 30 by LaFleur, stopped by opposing team pitchers. Now he's trying to hear right here if he has stopped them. The pitchers involved in this game tonight working on the streak of Rivers.
And White swings at the 2-ball no-count base hit. White will try for second. Stops throw. He is in there. And Garcia says, come on. Give me a break.
Well, we're going to get a look here, Bob Uecker. Nick Bremigan was right in a good spot to make the call, the second base umpire.
I'll tell you the surprise here, that White, the Yanks down by 2, tries to make it to second. They need base runners.
I'll tell you, Warner, here's a slide. Now, here's a good hook slide by Roy White.
Safe.
And Garcia's tag is late. I want to tell you, and Billy Martin told us this earlier today, he said, anytime I get a chance to run or take an extra base, I'm going to try and make somebody make a mistake against me. And I think Roy White has got good speed. He knew the throwing arm of Rusty Staub, too. Rusty Staub had to make a complete turn and throw that ball from right field.
Carlos May, 1 for 3 tonight, singled in the first, grounded out in the third and the sixth inning. 2 outs. Tigers lead by 2. Rule and LeManchik warming up in the Tiger bullpen. Keep in mind, Fidrich has 7 complete games this year. 1-1 to May. Easy play for Garcia, and that's it for the Yankees. So, as the Tigers come to bat, and look at Fidrich charge off that mound. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Tigers 3, the Yankees 1.
Gillette has a new razor, hon. A new razor called Good News. You never have to change the blades.
That's nice, dear.
You never have to change the blades? It's disposable. How's it shave? Fantastic. It's twin blades. That's a great shave.
What happens when the blades get dull?
After lots of great shaves, you throw the whole thing away. What's it cost? Only a quarter. What's it called?
Good News.
The Good News disposable razor.
Shaves like these at a price like this, you can't afford not to try Good News.
Harry, are they going to stay for lunch?
Dad, we're late.
I won't get dressed without my right guard. I will not get dressed without my right guard.
Why not?
Because Right Guard Double Protection protects us so well, it also helps protect our clothes from odor, wetness, and stains. Protects us, protects our clothes.
I will not get dressed without my right guard.
Get dressed, David.
Thank you.
Right Guard Double Protection Antiperspirant. Spray and roll on. Don't get dressed without it.
As we see Ralph Houk, reminding Ralph that this game telecast under television rights granted by Major League Baseball solely for the entertainment and viewing audience, and any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the explicit written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as charging admission for its showing, is similarly prohibited. Bob Prince, what's the scoreboard situation?
Well, very quickly, Boston out on top of Baltimore, 10-8 at the end of 7. Duncan and Grich and Hobson have homered. We'll get some other scores in a moment.
All right, for the Tigers in the home 8, Kim, LaFleur, and Verizon. Kim tonight 0 for 2. Did reach a board on the error by Willie Randolph. 25-year-old Bruce Kim. Sounds like a kung fu artist. Nettles throws out Kim, and there's 1 down.
Well, there happens to be a man in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, one of the great kung fu men, and his name is Mr. Kim. That's funny that you'd bring that up. Now, and of note, Philadelphia whacking Montreal 6-2, and Schmidt has hit the big home run there. Carlton is winning his 7th.
LaFleur tries to bunt his way on. LaFleur 1 for 2 tonight. Walked in the first, singled in the third, stole second, and struck out in the 5th.
You know, Ken Holtzman trailing by a score of 3-1 here in the 8th inning. He's only allowed 3 base hits. The Yankees have 6 off Fidrich, but he has really been tough with men on base.
Right field, base hit for LaFleur. Gamble fakes the throw to first. faking the throw behind LaFleur and throws it into second. So LaFleur tonight 2 for 3. Watch Gamble.
Yankee right fielder Oscar Gamble. Put it in your pocket, Oscar.
Here's Verizon, 0 for 3. Grounded out twice, flied out. Holtzman, good pickoff move.
I want to point out something, though, on Ken Holtzman. If Ken Holtzman looks toward the plate, he's not going to throw home. He's going to go to first base.
There goes LaFleur. The throw, he's going to be safe. So make that 25 stolen bases. He's got 2 in this game.
Look at the jump on LaFleur. Look where he was when Elrod Hendricks let go of that throw. No chance at all. Look at the jump. Ron LaFleur, camera angles all over. We got him covered.
LaFleur at second, 1 out. Right field, Gamble toward the line. Can't get it, base hit. LaFleur around his third. They hold him up. Throw gets away, but it will be backed up, and down to second goes Verizon. I think they'll score that a base hit and an error. So the Tigers with runners at second and third, and the question now is, gentlemen, even though it's lefty versus lefty, would you put on Rusty Staub?
There you look at Ron LaFleur now. When he finally sees the ball isn't going to be caught, you're going to see Joe Schultz coming into your picture. You're holding Ron LaFleur. Well, you didn't see him, but Schultz held him. And wisely so, I believe, although the throw got away from Chambliss. With a guy like Rusty Staub coming up and only 1 man out, why take a chance on LaFleur getting thrown out at the plate? Tigers leading 3-1.
You realize, gentlemen, as the Yankee infield plays in, this is the first inning we've had more than 1 hit in this ball game. Verizon at second, LaFleur at third, 1 out, Staub the batter. And nice play by Randolph. Has only 1 play as LaFleur scores. So gives Staub an RBI, his third of the night, and the Tigers lead 4-1.
They ruled that Verizon took second on the throw and no error there. So I guess their basis of the ruling was that the throw was made so poorly that he was going to be able to go in there, but no other advance was made. Had the man from third, LaFleur, came in, they would have ruled error.
Verizon moves to third on the ground out. 2 outs, 4-1. Tigers lead. Alex Johnson, the batter. Fair ball, and it drops. Fair ball. Verizon scores. Johnson on his way to second. The throw to second. Too late. Johnson's in with a double. 5-1 Tigers. And look at this crowd.
And I'll tell you one thing. Billy Martin is not going to waste his bullpen here. It's the 8th inning. And it's not giving up on the ball game, but unless he absolutely has to, Holtzman's going to have to go the full 8 right here.
Can you imagine the hand that young Mark Fidrich is going to receive when he takes the mound in the top of the 9th inning? Nothing, perhaps, to the hand he's going to receive if he wins this ball game. All right, 2 outs. Johnson at second. The Tigers with 2 runs here in the bottom of the 8th, lead it 5-1. Here's Thompson 0 for 3. The Tigers leading home run hitter.
We have another pretty good battle going now. Brett batting .363, and LaFleur's up about .351 for the American League batting title. They're fighting it out.
How long do you think it'll be before Rod Carew's in there?
Somewhere along the line, he might be heard from.
1-1 to Thompson. The official paid attendance tonight, 47,855. 47,855. Low, ball 3 to Thompson. Holtzman has walked only 1 batter, and that was LaFleur to lead off the ball game. You give Thompson the hit sign here?
Definitely.
He's got it.
Randolph to Chambliss. That's it for the Tigers, but they score 2 runs on 3 hits. No errors and 1 left. We go to the 9th. The Tigers lead it 5-1.
This is ABC.
Well, there's your all-star balloting. Georgie, Brett, Freddie Patek, Gritch, Carew, Fisk, Lynn, and LaFleur. Now, battling Gritch, of course, is the young man here at second base, Willie Randolph. But that's going to be a very, very big event on the bicentennial year at Betfred Stadium in Philadelphia, where we'll be, all of us, to bring you right here on ABC, the All-Star. We hope that you'll continue balloting and send them in. Here's your National League looking now. A lot of Cincinnati players in there. That's practically Cincinnati, Philadelphia, with Steve Garvey nudging in, and, of course, Dave Sky King Kingman of the New York Mets. So that's going to be a great all-star game. We hope you'll keep balloting and come right along with it.
All right, here we go to the top of the 9th inning. Young Mark Fidrich with a 5-1 lead, shooting for his 8th win of the year and his 8th complete game. The Yankees have won 5 in a row coming in. The Tigers were only 2 games out of second place going in. All right, Fidrich blowing, huffing, puffing. And he gets the first one across to Chambliss. Chambliss, Nettles, and Gamble in the Yankee 9th. Make it 2. Chambliss 0 for 3 tonight.
Young man wins tonight, Water. He may well have the best winning percentage in baseball.
He got him. And the fans are standing for Fidrich. He may be your starting all-star pitcher for the American League. Here's Nettles. Nettles has solved Fidrich 2 for 3, singled in the 4th, singled in the 7th.
I wouldn't want to be Darrell Johnson of the Red Sox and not select this young man to be on his staff, I'll tell you that.
Garcia, 2 down in the 9th. And look at Fidrich. He's talking, he's walking around.
Take a look at this young man. Nice play, Pedro. That's just what he said right there. Nice play, Pedro. I love this guy.
Here's Gamble 0 for 3.
I bet you he threw that ball over 95 miles an hour.
Look at him. He's not. You talk about Jim Cott being a fast worker. He's not letting these guys get set. The 1-strike pitch to Gamble. You know, that was his first bad pitch of the night.
Little change up that time for Mark Fidrich. Boy, this guy's higher than a kite.
Fidrich has not walked the batter. Look at him. Talking to that ball. Right field, well hit. LaFleur falls down. It's off the wall. And Gamble stumbles and comes back to first. Gamble maybe missed the bag. LaFleur is down.
He hit that pipe out there.
That's exactly what he did, Bob Prince. He hit that pipe at the 370 mark out there. His feet gave away from under him. He's getting to his feet out. I'm going to tell you something about Ron LaFleur. This is one of the toughest guys you can ever see. As you look at it now and you'll see his feet come out from under him, he had a chance to catch this ball. There you see him. The ball hit at the bottom of the wall.
I'll tell you what he slipped on, where the grass touches the warning track. And meanwhile, Gamble missed first base and had to come back. An easy 2-base hit otherwise.
Well, of course, in this situation, that isn't going to help him anyhow, as you know, Warner.
Right.
And Ralph Houck's going to check on here. And LaFleur saying, I want to stay in. He's not going to get out of there. And I really believe if we watch that, as we watch that one, there's no question that he's going to catch that ball. It was a catchable ball until he fell down.
Listen, while we've got this pause here, speaking of that All-Star game, I've got to mention two things. Number one, certainly Johnny Bench has been one of the greatest players in the last 8 years. And there's the handful of floor. But you know, here Bob Boone of the Phillies is out hitting Bench by over 40 points, more RBIs, and certainly, in my opinion, Boone should be the starting catcher in the National League. And the same thing in the American League. As great as Carlton Fisk has been, the All-Star game is supposed to be this season. What a player has done from April to July. And Thurman Munson, offensively, has played better than Carlton Fisk.
I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of ball games played, and I've caught a few. I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher this keyed up in the ninth inning of a ball game, or all through the ball game. You'd think this guy would be running out of gas by now, or starting to get down a little bit. But he is just starting to heat it up.
What's getting me is he's giving me duck bumps, and I've watched over 8,000 ball games.
The fans are cheering, "Let's go, Mark." Here's Hendricks. 2 outs. A ball to Hendricks. Gamble at first. The Tigers lead 5-1. And here comes Fidrich off the mound. He's saying, "Settle down, Paul." Listen to the fans. "Let's go, Mark."
All right, just settle down. Settle down. Give me that ball.
2 balls inside, ball 3, and Fidrich, who has not walked the batter.
You know, Warner, you look at him now. We've said he's been keyed up all night, but he might be getting a little too high right now. Well, he's in there with that fastball.
He's only walked 18 batters going into tonight's ball game, so he has excellent location.
Nobody holding Gamble, of course. The 3-1 to Hendricks. Hey, it's in there. And now, the 3-2 to Hendricks. The fans ready to explode. Here's your pitch. Ground ball should be the ball game. It's over. And the Tigers act like Fidrich has just won the 7th game of the World Series.
He has. He's won 7 in a row. He is some kind of unbelievable young Mark Fidrich.
So Mark Fidrich thanking his teammates. Look at that. He's thanking his teammates. He's thanking the umpires, everybody, the ground crew. And the fans want him to come back. The fans are calling for him to come back. So Mark Fidrich, possibly the all-star pitcher, with a record of 8-1, 8 complete games, stops the Yankees' winning streak at 5. The fans are not going to stop until Fidrich comes back out. They want him to come out and tip his hat. You don't know where he's going. Listen to him. We want Mark. He's got to come back. Come on, Mark. Nobody has left the ballpark.
This place is jammed up full. I cannot believe it.
I'll tell you this. The Tigers better promote 5 days in advance every time Fidrich is going to pitch, because that's an extra 30,000 fans in the ballpark. The clubhouse attendant just ran into the dugout to have Fidrich come back. And if he comes back, you'll hear it.
You know, Warner, he's beaten Cleveland, Milwaukee, Texas, California, Kansas City, Minnesota, Boston. New York now becomes the 8th ball club he has beaten. He's won 7 in a row. The last game he lost, Boston beat him behind Luis Tiant 2-0 back on the 25th of May. They got to be in love with this young man, no question about it.
I'll tell you, he has won this town. 21-year-old Mark Fidrich from Worcester, Mass. And here he comes! Here he comes!
Oh, this is unbelievable.
He loves them. Look at that. Shaking the policeman's hand. Look at that. This kid is terrific.
In my life, I've been in baseball 35 years. I have never in my life ever seen anything to equal this. The closest was when Dale Long hit a home run. Why wouldn't he cry?
He's so happy. Look at this.
Me?
All right, Bob Uecker is going to go on down to try to get an interview lined up, and we'll hold it up here, Warner. We can go over some other scores, but the only other thing I've ever seen approaching this was when Dale Long hit a home run off Carl Erskine of the Dodgers, and they brought him out. It was the 7th or 8th home run in a row, and the people are still standing here, but never have I seen a ball player brought back out like this one. They win it by a score of 5-1. We'll be back out here.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
Well, I think the Firestone radio tires are the best tires ever made.
A friend might not know that Firestone's long-mileage steel-belted Radio 500 is built by craftsmen, piece by piece, one at a time. But when it comes to how Firestone tires work, just ask a friend.
If I can't get a Firestone, I'll park it.
Firestone.
What does it take to make a car both elegant and affordable? A car must be rich-looking to the eye, yet solid, stable, responsive. Chevrolet Concourse. Of course.
Fine touring automobiles have a sophistication, a feeling of quality the driver both expects and admires. Concourse, of course.
But a car still needs a Chevrolet price. Concourse is priced under $4,000. Concourse, of course.
Concourse. Of course.
What you're about to see are the kinds of people who own America's oil companies. Over 2 million Americans invest in America's major oil companies. Over half of them women. Almost half are retired. Colleges invest and universities. Another 12 million invest through programs that invest for them, like mutual funds. Who owns America's oil companies? Over 14 million Americans who put their trust in companies like Texaco. We're working to keep that trust.
All right, Bob Uecker has gone down trying to really fight his way through this 50,000 crowd. We're trying to get Mark Fidrich, the young right-hander who has just won this ball game, and he has won the town of Detroit. So let's just tell you that ABC's Monday Night Baseball was brought to you by Chevrolet. Like baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie, Chevrolet is an American favorite. Drive a Chevy and believe. By Gillette, makers of good, thick, rich, foamy shave cream. And by Firestone, the radial tire people, makers of the steel-belted Radio 500. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United featuring Royal Hawaiian service on more wide-body 747s to Hawaii than any other airline. Now, once again, waiting for Bob Uecker to bring out Mark Fidrich. And Bob Prince, you saw Dizzy Dean pitch. Can you make any comparison, not as far as talent, because obviously it's too early in Fidrich's career, but what about as far as his characteristics, eccentric-wise, being a character? Any similarities, characteristics? Can you make a comparison?
Well, I watched Dizzy. Dizzy was a very flamboyant individual, did a lot of things in baseball off the field as well as on. But when he got out on the mound, Dizzy was a very take-charge type of guy and pitcher in that old gas house gang, the tradition of baseball with the Cardinals in the 30s. Never in my life have I ever seen anything like this young man saying to the ball, I want you to go this way, or I want you to sink, or now, hey, don't throw that ball up there again, and he talks to the ball, and never in my life have I ever seen it, and I guess he is such a refreshingly beautiful young man. The people here not only appreciate his talent, but they don't even resent it. Even the opposing ball players don't resent it. You know, normally you'd think they'd say you're a showboat or
hot dog
or whatever. They don't seem to do that at all. I've never seen anything like it.
You know, again, as we watch Fidrich here, the key, as you say, is that he wins. He's successful. He's 8-1, so he can get away with it. If the same guy who was 1-8 tried to do it, they'd probably boo him out of here. But there you see it, the Bird, Mark Fidrich, winning his 8th game and 8th complete game of the year. Other scores tonight, Boston leads Baltimore 11-8 in the 9th inning. Everybody and his brother has pitched in that game. Duncan and Gritch have homered for the Birds, and Hobson for Boston. Milwaukee and Cleveland. The Indians beat Milwaukee, as you see the Kansas City-Minnesota game, not to confuse you, 2-2 in the 4th inning. That's Leonard against Singer. Oakland and Texas scoreless now in the 6th inning. Norris against Umbarger. And I'm wondering, when is Vida Blue going to play? Cleveland has beaten Milwaukee 5-3, and it's a good thing they did because the Tigers won tonight, and the Tigers could have moved within one game of second. But as you see, the Tigers won, and also Cleveland winning, and Boston leading Baltimore now 12-8.
I think Boston can make a run right there. Now this Philadelphia ball club is red hot. They've won 6 and lost 2. They've only lost 20 ball games on the season. They are up with a remarkable record of victories on the road and everything else. They are challenging a long-time record. Here you see Pittsburgh beating Chicago 4-2 in the 5th inning. And the New York Mets with Sky King Kingman belted one out there on top of the Cardinals 4-3 in the 7th. Other National League actions, see San Diego in the 1st inning leading the Reds 3-0. And they've got a great pitcher out there, Randy Jones. The final this afternoon, the Houston Astros unloaded on the red-hot San Francisco Giants and beat them by a score of 8-2.
Nice to see old Willie McCovey hitting a home run for San Diego in the 1st inning with 2 on.
Yes, it is. There's a fellow that's playing with great pain and what have you. We're still waiting for our partner, Bob Uecker. I know one of the things, and he's going to get Friedrich, I'm sure of that. Secondly, though, I think he belongs to the people of Detroit. You can bet they're all down there interviewing him, and he might have even made Ernie Harwell's post-game show. You suppose he might have been on that?
You think he might be the star of the game?
He's got a pretty gosh darn good chance.
Well, I'll tell you, in case you missed it, Fidrich was the story. The Tigers jumped out on top in the 1st inning, a 2-run homer by Rusty Staub. And that's the way it was for a while until Ellie Hendricks came back with a home run in the 2nd inning, and it was 2-1. And that's the way it stood until Aurelio Rodriguez hit one to the opposite field, to right field, to make it 3-1. And meanwhile, Fidrich was mowing down the Yankees right and left. He breezed through the 5th inning, 6th inning, gave up a single to Nettles in the 7th, and a double to White in the 8th. And then the Tigers broke it open with 2 in the bottom of the 8th, if you can call 2 runs breaking it open. But I think in this type of ball game, it did break it open because instead of 3-1, it made it 5-1. And then Friedrich just cut him down in the 9th inning, except for the single by Gamble. And fortunately, Ron LaFleur is okay. He tripped where the grass connects with the warning track and couldn't catch up with the ball. And I think, Bob Prince, you're right. LaFleur would have caught that ball. So that's the way it ends. Fidrich allows 7 hits, but the key here, he did not walk a batter. And this youngster has control. He's walked an average of only 1 batter for every 2 ball games. He doesn't strike out a lot of people, but he wins the game. And now Bob Uecker in the Tiger dugout with winning pitcher Mark Fidrich. Bob?
The pitching sensation of the American League is with us tonight. Mark, I've never seen anything like this in my life tonight, and I know it's a very emotional moment for you.
Hell yeah. I mean, 48,000 people coming out to see Detroit pitch. I said we couldn't have gave him a better show, you know?
Were you ever worried about the Yankees tonight? I know we talked to you earlier. You said, well, you weren't worried about the Yankee ball club. It doesn't look like you ever worry about anybody.
Well, I don't know. Everything's just new to me, so I just coming out as hard as I can come out after people. And then I have the D. Those guys doing 2/3 the work, and I'm only doing 1/3 by pitching, you know? They got me the runs and all that other stuff, and the people come out and draw it and get my adrenaline flowing. What can I ask? I couldn't ask for no much more.
You know, in the 9th inning of the ball game, Mark, you're so sky high in the 9th inning of the ball game through the early part of the ball game. These tough left-handed hitters with New York, a very short porch here in right field in Detroit, but yet you came inside. You kept pitching inside on the Yankees.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was working, so you just keep on coming when it works. And like that one guy, that lefty burnt me. I came outside on him, and he pulled the thing way out there, you know. And then that was the only hit he got off me after that, but damn, it was great. You know, I couldn't ask for anything more. I don't know how to talk.
You know, Bruce Kim has done a lot of catching for you, Mark. Is there a thing going now with you and Bruce Kim? Is he going to be your man now every time you start?
I couldn't answer that question. All I can say is when you're hot with someone, you know, you keep that, you know, thing going, right? So him and I are hot, so why not, you know, keep it going like that? I don't know. I know I'm confident pitching against Bill and John, too, you know? So that doesn't come into my mind because he's the only catcher I'm ever going to have. No. You know, everyone's caught me before. So what the heck? What can I say?
You know, when we watch you, Mark, we watch you tonight, patting the mound, talking to the ball, it looks like, or talking about location. Is that what you're doing out there?
Well, when I pat the mound, I'm just keeping it so I don't, you know, get in that guy's run. I want to dig my own hole and my own landing point and all that because I have my own thing. And then I'm just getting myself psyched, telling it, don't let up now. Just throw it as hard as you can, as hard as you can. And if they burn you, they burn you. That's, you know, life. But I lucked out tonight, and I had the great D behind me in the runs, too.
I tell you, you didn't luck out tonight. You were outstanding all night long. You threw the ball. We had you clocked tonight. You're throwing the ball 93 miles an hour in the ninth inning, just about the same you were in the early part of the ball game.
Well, life, I guess. I don't know how to answer that. I never had a time before in my life. That's the first time anyone's ever timed my ball.
What about when you're talking out there, Mark, all the time? When maybe you miss with a pitch and now you start talking. Are you talking about location?
I'm saying like, well, I stood up on that pitch. I dropped my elbow. I did this. I did that. Because I can feel when I let the ball go. I can feel. I know it's going to come up, go. You know where it's going to go. I can feel if I drop my arm and do all that stuff. So I'm telling myself now, just flow and keep it normal like you're supposed to do, and think where you're going to throw that pitch. That's all I want to do. You know.
You know, you found a home here in Detroit. You got these fans here tonight. They have been outstanding. You know, I've never seen a ball game like this, Mark. You know, in the ninth inning of this ball game tonight, nobody had left this ballpark.
That's because we were winning. You know, I mean, these guys are doing it all. You know, I love it.
I got to ask you one thing. Have you ever heard a more emotional response from a crowd than we had here tonight?
Well, I never played under this many people before in my life. In the minors, you get, 2,000. But that 2,000 is cheering hard, too, to make it sound like 2,000. But when you get the house packed, we wanted to do good, and we did. We responded to the crowd, you know what I mean?
You said you did this in the minor leagues, too, Mark. I mean, this isn't just a thing that has started now in the major leagues. You did it all the time, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I've done this ever since I've been pitching. Keep my mind in the game. Cut.
All right, that's our man, Mark Fidrich, tonight. We'll be back with more right after this.
Bob, once again, the final score behind young Mark Fidrich. The Tigers stopping the Yankees' 5-game winning streak and Mickey Rivers' 20-game hitting streak. Tigers 5, the Yankees 1. Next Monday night, we'll be in Philadelphia for the Phillies-Dodgers game, which will be seen everywhere in the United States except in the Philadelphia area, which will see the Astros-Mets game. For Bob Prince and Bob Euchre, this is Warner Wolf. ABC's Monday Night Baseball has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around